get this on.
That's it. We are live now. Today is Thursday, the 22nd of March, 2018. And on the panel, we have Jay from America. We have Patricia, UK. We have Levkungfu, UK. And special guest is David, son of Giaramita. That right? I can't hear you now. I introduced you as David, son of Giaramita.
Thank you. It's breaking up. I'm just listening to the Wi-Fi. Then I didn't get much of it. I don't get much sound. I'm just checking, see if it's going to come back.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for coming back, David.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Peace and love to all brothers and sisters.
Yeah. So you said to me earlier on that you're finishing now work. Lucky you.
Yeah, Saturday the 24th is my last scheduled shift, and then I'll dedicate in the region of 30 hours a week working for the beneficiaries of the private trust. That's the plan.
Yeah. Do you want to, in case other people weren't here on the other hangout we had with you, do you want to just explain a little bit about this trust that you set up?
Yes. Can you just confirm, is the audio all right? Is everything okay coming through your end?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Well, I can.
Yeah. All right. Then just let me know, because you're a little bit intermittent, but I can get the gist of it. That's fine.
So, do you want to explain a little bit about this? You're a person who's understood all about, we don't have a birth certificate, we have a death certificate, and that's that way of law. And you've set up this trust fund. Do you want to explain a little bit about this trust fund and why you set it up?
Yeah, it's in the process of being established now. It hasn't actually been, it's been expressed verbally, but it hasn't been completed 100%. So it's a form of an express trust. It's a private, express private trust. So there are many types of trust that we encounter. For those that don't know, and the majority of them are public statutory trusts. So this one is not a public one, and it will be expressed privately through various paperwork, a deed, there'll be property involved, property transferred, trustees that hold the title to that property instead of myself, such as the bank account and the private website that we're building for the beneficiaries. That property will be held and controlled by the trustees. It is not an agency. An agency is a different type of relationship, and the property is controlled and held differently by the parties. So this is the first time we've done this. It's called New Trust Technology. It's quite ironic because trust is a basic fundamental governing block of humanity for eons, for time, for all of existence as we would see it, so, or as I would see it. And we've lost trust in government, we've lost trust in fellow man, we've lost trust in ourselves, we've lost trust everywhere. So it's quite poignant to have a technology surface amongst the free man and lawful, revolution, rebellion, law movement, and find that a technology called trust, that goes cap in hand with equity, is the saving grace of the bonded, apparently free man. So there's a whole language that goes with this law. With every law, there's a type of language, there's a context, there's instrumentation, there's a status and a capacity. And in various public laws, civil laws, you're used to that. We've all encountered them, and the officers and the police and everything, and the current public liability of which we are, by default responsible for, or responsible to at least deal with the claims made. So we've worked out through watching a lot of videos, reading a lot of law books, interacting with a master brain from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Yourself Rich technology, Alan Watts technology. We've employed Zen-like thinking, and we've gone back to the basics, stripped it all down, relearned what we thought we knew, and reapplied it. And we found, validated information and examples such as Tony Blair, the ex-Prime Minister and trust lawyer, David Rockefeller, corporations, enterprises, the trust itself, the NHS trust, the public trust that we know about, the privatisation, the fractalisation, the banking, money itself, intrinsic value, and the birth certificate, as you've mentioned, the bondage there, the language, and again, the Vatican, the monarchy, the Treasury, HMRC, the government, and the various laws. So we're not experts in any means, and we're not affiliated with an academic institute. We're just on our own little progression in a freedom of movement, a consciousness, and we are bringing this to the table for consideration.
Yeah, and so could you explain what this trust, what it's going to enable to do, what for the people? Because it's for the people, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll encapsulate it in a nutshell. So the property, to put something into a trust, you will have to own the property outright. You can't put someone else's property into trust. So whatever you would like to put into a trust, for whatever reason, there are various and many types of trust, and you might want to make a trust and appoint an executor of a trust for a will, for an estate, for property, for a house. So you don't just have one type to choose from, and you don't just have there's a lot that goes into them. But this particular one is an express private trust, and in that express private trust we have good evening.
Good evening, people. Sorry, I'm a bit late. I'm struggling now. I'm in my son's bedroom, and he's I don't think he uses Google Hangouts that much, but can you hear me all right?
Yes, Astral.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. How do I turn this down? Don't screw my near here. Oh, there. Teething problems. Sorry. Sorry to interrupt. Can you carry on talking whatever it was you were discussing?
He's just going to explain what this whole thing he's doing is about for the people, but carry on, David.
All right then, yeah, no worries. So you own the property, and you're the one that can put that into the trust. You can then, control that and transfer the titles and ownership of it. So what we do, and what we have done unwittingly to us, with like maybe vehicles, private modes of conveyance, pleasure crafts, cars, vans, transportation, we have signed them away and the title to that property using a V5 registration logbook. That's a form of a trust going to an agency. So there's an agency relationship at play here with titles to property and transferring of property. And we view it as you would end up with a title from the allodial settlor title to that vehicle, car, transportation. And you would swap that for something called possessory legal title. And you would transfer the title over via a trust, unbeknown to you, a constructed trust. To be in a trust of such, you don't need to know or be told you're in a trust. These are some of the maxims that govern this area of law. So we can demonstrate active trusts at the moment that are in effect, that are quite, we would say, they were done with unconscionable conduct, unconscionable acts. They put us into the realm of where we've gone from common law and being the one that is in the power to the public servant, we'll say civil servants. That seems to have got swapped with public trustee and the public liabilities and associated liabilities with said claims upon that. In this case, it's a vehicle with the drive DVLA, but we'll go with an express private trust where I would have title to property, a website and a bank account, and I would transfer these physically and also via a declaration of trust and an expression, a verbal expression, a declaration written, proclamation and a deed. These are the paperwork, some of the paperwork that would define a trust against maybe an agency and express what the purpose is, who the beneficiaries are. The beneficiaries are the members of the website or the brothers and sisters that sign up to be part of the learning on SPLs.pro.com or the Facebook domain, the existing Facebook domain. To some extent, the YouTube family, they are beneficiaries, all of them. We have a private domain that's now property. They have an interest in that property. So we express that interest for them on their behalf and appoint trustees to manage the title and the bank account and own the website. So it gets taken from my legal person or my private person's ownership, and it gets passed over into a trust. So I, as the settlor and owner, give title to the trustees to manage and access the bank account primarily, and a head trustee, and the property is assigned to them in law, in private, using these documentations and expressions. And if it need be, then it would be classified as a non-public trust. It's managed by the people for the people, and as regards to the funds, they would be for the beneficiaries. I don't own or have an income. Where you said about the tax, I need to get onto, before it's actually proclaimed and expressed at the end of March, I need to confirm a few things about the tax ruling of trust, because trusts are used to primarily keep assets and forward them on, ring fence them for intravenous or vitros type wills, which are for death and written whilst you are alive, and then the estate is held in trust, and it has it has an executor of that estate. So we need to check that, because it's a trust of this type, and I'm not receiving payment, the trustees are, on behalf of the beneficiaries, which are all the brothers and sisters that accumulate now at present and forward. Then that is, we know about money and everything. So what we'd argue is that this is a non-for-profit trust, and it's basically a bank account for the Anglo brothers and sisters. So this bank account is not owned by me anymore, and it's managed by the trustees, and the money is governed by the trustees, and it's given from the people on behalf of the people. And the money will already, it's not even money, but the currency has already been taxed for it to get to this stage. So if it's non-for-profit and it's a private express trust, I do need to clarify the actual HMRC regulations and the .gov.uk regulations for express private trusts, and we will follow those guidelines, because otherwise it will all get shut down. But the basic premise is ownership of property is the key. So if you own anything, you can be in danger of being taken away from you. If you have property and you'd like to protect it, you can put it into a trust as a res, as an item, and then that was no longer yours, but you can benefit from the use of it, and it could be anything. So it's used for, trusts aren't just a specific use, they have many and various uses. This is just one applied principle of a particular type of trust that we see would be beneficial if it was managed as we purport to manage it going forward.
Cool. Sounds a lot of work and a lot of thought gone into that, as you are telling us. But you're doing all this for a reason, aren't you? You're doing it because you want to help the people. Yeah,
there's a lot of suicide, for instance, at the minute, with the suicide rates going up, and people, brothers and sisters, the people of the United Kingdom, as Theresa May addresses them, the people, they're fictitious titles. I'm talking to the flesh and the blood, the hearts and the souls that have got family, that are on medication, that are taking scripts from the doctor, that are taking tablets, that have got anxiety, that dread going to work, that can't afford to pay all the bills, that then end up ultimately taking their lives through a matter of fiscal debt. And this debt doesn't exist. Money isn't real. And as bizarre as it sounds, it's a debtor-creditor based environment, but we're not actually debtor-creditor. Fundamentally, it's trust and equity. And that's why we're correcting it at such a root cause level right now, in the midst of all this research and the likes of John Harris and the famous speakers and politicians like Godfrey Bloom that have helped expose this. And it's just the way forward. It's the way that things should be. So this technology it needs to get out there and be on the basic premise of everybody's lips. So we would help to recognise this and provide this environment and community, much like what the government should have done. But they, through our ignorance, they've gone and done other stuff. So it's a lot to take on board. We appreciate, and we try to simplify it from the outset and give you examples and show you the reasons why we have to do it and what should have been done, and the way forward with these suicides and medication that the doctors are getting, the pharmaceutical companies are getting rich, big pharma's getting rich, the side effects are incredible, and they shorten lives and they take the virility away from men and women, and it has such a massive knock-on effect. And when the men of the United Kingdom, when we say men, we mean the plural, women and men, womb men, they find out about the truth about money, about them being the ones that create the money, about the trust and equity overriding common, the debtor creditor, and the common conception of the contract law and the current laws we have. And we need to save lives. We need to stop the death. And there is no outlet. There is no alternative school, education path to go to other than the institutionalized avenues of the university. And universities have indoctrinated all of the students into a one-way conceptualization of reality, finance, economics, all of it. They only have one way. It's a form of, we say, you repeat. There is no creativeness that goes on in any of the universities worldwide. What we encourage is the creativity with the conceptualization of Euro matrix and laws that fabricate the reality, the laws of attraction, the laws of intent, and we demonstrate them again. And once we show you all of this, and you guys, what you know, your free energy, free power, GM free, and the health and the wealth side that you know, it speaks for itself. It doesn't really need much proving anymore. So it's just a matter of getting it out there and standing upon it and knowing it and bringing it forward.
I've got a question.
I have to say that you.
Sorry. Go on, Karen.
I was just going to say he put that so well, taking our souls away as well. But carry on, Astral.
There's a question in the chat room here from Mia's Investigatives. Yeah, she's trying to find out how it is with, is there a law saying that you need to go to the doctor, forcing you to bring your child to the doctor, is there?
Yeah, child protection law. There'll be there's public statutory laws that govern the protection of children, the mandated care. I can't reference all of them, but there are under common law. If your child is suffering from harm, injury or loss, then you would need to, as the parent and the actual recognised trustee under the legal constraint, need to get remedy for your child to stop suffering harm and loss and injury. So if you choose to go through a homeopathic remedy and you choose to take an alternative route, then so be it. You're not instructed to use a GP.
Okay.
I'm not saying to
you
go
don't
out
have to go to a doctor then if you don't want to.
But I'm not saying to go to an internet site and buy the first load of medication that's recommended, because that's a big no as well. What I'm saying is that as long as you govern your child's health in accordance with the law, then you are fine. So you can choose to homeschool, you can choose to, home educate, not school. School is for fools, but you can choose to give alternative medicine as well. You don't need to give the chemicals and the pharmaceuticals that we've come used to. You could give homeopathic, organic, safe remedies that we know: garlic, ginger, honey, lemon, turmeric, these things, not, bicarbonates of whatever from the internet. No, that's what I'm saying. You can treat that way. Meditation, Reiki, anything like this, Yeah. That'd be, but the rules are under the human rights and the governance of the child and the legislation that's under the United Kingdom, citizens and persons, which there are many and various, yeah.
I bet.
You couldn't, you just summarise it. You will find them. If she wanted them, you could find it on the domain or the Facebook group. We could reference that. Anybody that's viewing that needs acute, legal, lawful comparison, we can post a link for the Facebook group later on for anybody that's in a critical stage and needing help. We can address that later, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. Hi, Jay.
Oh. Yeah, do you mind? I don't want to say it like this in any way. You know a lot more about things and I just don't want to insult you. But this whole point about what you're doing, you actually are turning into the Citizens Advice Bureau, but not a bureau, Citizens Advice.
Yeah, I know, we are. Yes, it is. That's it. For the people, by the people, use your own due diligence. And it's like, we're not people anymore. We've become men again and we found our power. So the power is the power of choice. You do have choice. It is a common misconception that we have to do various things, but we're learning to challenge in an intelligent and articulate and constructive and concise way that makes the system sit up and respond and say, actually, okay, We're willing to listen. We hear you. We're being heard for the first time. Folk are being heard, and stuff is happening, whether it be at magistrates or with the DWP or with parking enforcement bodies, or wheel clamps and so forth. It's now, there's a spark there, there's a flame, and we've built a little fire, and we need to see what we can get from that.
But you've actually helped people, haven't you, as well? You've already helped people. We do,
like, should I say, have got a appointeeship, which is equivalent of a power of attorney in a lasting or general capacity for an isolated situation with beneficiaries, because they are feeling intimidated, threatened, suicidal, at the wit's end, and they don't know where to turn to. So an old age pensioner being brought to us that's got a big hefty guy at the door every day, text messages every day, big bold letters coming through the letterbox, men hammering and threatening to enforce, litigate and take away goods to the value of, and they don't know. The issue is the same with the freedom speakers and the guys that are like, in the movement of health and wisdom. They don't know the statuses. The great mass, Anglo mass of our brothers and sisters do not know the rights. If you guys were to try in the next 5 minutes write down what you think your rights are, you don't actually know them. So it's about, encapsulating that as well, and actually sticking to what you know are your rights and enforcing that. And when we teach it to an extent that you will believe it, you won't just know it, you will be able to recite it and believe it, and you will have it in your heart. And when you have that intent and you have that knowledge, there's the power. That's what you have. So it's not just about copying a template off the internet and getting a success. So there is a structured way to interact and interface with this system, and it does involve a legal system, and you can have a chosen capacity in that system, but it does seem to be a vicious, evil system, and it doesn't like to be messed with or provoked in any way, to be fair.
Can I just say, well, thank you very much for doing this for the people then, because there's not enough people doing things for the people. We have to start going back.
This is a contribution of what we are. We are like facilitators. A new concept's been brought to me today by the guy that's helping me build my website. And what I've posted is a little diagram of a pyramid of conceptualization of an invisible controlling construct that we have in society, and it involves a pyramid, and it involves like a victim and a persecutor, and a triangle of how we are. So within this knowledge release that we're doing now in this age of Aquarius, this digital age, the age of being super connected, it's a result of the master brain that the Facebook group that I founded has brought, but then the affiliation with the other like-minded groups that we share a consciousness with and a relationship with, if you like, then on a private level. And it's called the drama triangle. We've got an empowerment, basically the empowerment dynamic. Yeah, so it's called TED, the empowerment dynamic, and I've posted it today. And it's got a creator at the top, a challenger and a coach. Yeah, so a creator, a challenger and a coach. We have a creator, we have a challenger, that would be the government, and the coaches are us. You would be the creator at the top. So we have a pyramid again, much like the trust formation that we're educating and talking about, where we have a settlor at the top, a trustee and a beneficiary to form that, that relationship. But in this one, to do with social, mental health and wealth, and the sociological interaction we have, non-legal, which is like an oppression of the mind through the letters and the communication and the demands made upon your person through the letterbox, through the, the notices that you get served. Then we have a pyramid again, and it says creator, coach, and then challenger. So you would be the creator in essence, and you have a challenger, which is the government, and you have a coach, which is SPL's private trust. And we coach you into, we shepherd, we facilitate, and it's all we've done is collected the fragmented pieces and brought them into one area to study and listen to everybody else, and corrected our mistakes, errors, emissions, dropped the anger, lost the ego and just got down to the job at hand, and avoided all temptation, riches, certain, chills and trolls and stories and political things. And we've just had a horse, mentality vision. And we've started to actually ask for proof. When somebody says, I've got a remedy, we'll ask, how is it a remedy? Why is it a remedy? What methods have you employed? Can we have a look at it? Is there a document? Was it on the record? And we're very articulate and concise. Getting a few thousand indigos and light workers and rainbow children together is a dangerous thing for the establishment, because they're very powerful. And that's what's come together now with, this chat included.
I've got something I can talk about.
Go on.
I can't say whether I actually know whether it actually became law, because it was before it became law, but I think I know what they've kind of done with society a bit. Over here, don't you? You probably know all this. They decided to use slavery and to bring a bill in that meant that you couldn't ask people to do anything for you. So they fed it to the public that this was all about the people and not making anybody come into this country or anybody in this country a slave. But what they did was they put it into the slavery bill, but it's nothing to do with helping the people. The law is basically, if you help someone, then if I ask you to help me, then you can go to the police and say that I asked these things. It becomes against the law to ask to help. And they stuck it in the slavery bill without anybody noticing, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
But really, it's made what's happening now. Everybody, this was about 2-3 years ago when they did this, 3-4 years ago. And now no one wants to help each other.
Yeah, true. You can't feed a homeless man on the streets because you might get a ticket. What?
Yes.
Yeah, kind of. What world is that? I don't want to be a part of a world with rules like that, to be honest. No.
Yes, that's it. That someone was talking about that they nearly got fined or something because they tried to feed a homeless person, or they were talking about that bill. They could get arrested. That's terrible, isn't it?
Or we'll make acts and bills and public law and codes and penal codes and statutory regulations, and we'll outlaw the use of organic plants for no other reason than it cures cancer and maybe takes billions of pounds of revenue from big pharma. So what we'll do is we'll say that plant's now illegal. But what kind of world is that where we tolerate, there was a song, weren't there? If you tolerate this, then your children will be next. And I remember that song, and it's echoing in the back of my head. It's, it's a haunting song. It's not a good memory. And I use that song to kind of drive me along when I need to remind myself. If you don't get your finger out, Dave, you're going to be gone and your kids are going to be left, and they're going to have to carry on the fight. And we're living in a time where in 50 years from now, we'll be firmly judged for, our actions or lack of actions, how we handle it, or what we allow.
Could I just change the subject for 2 seconds? We can see Astral's son sitting there in front of the camera. Hello there. Hello. Yeah, he's a teenager listening into this. That's good, isn't it? And the other thing I just wanted to say was, what does that show that we've made homeless people? Nothing's.
Homeless man died outside the Houses of Parliament. I posted it on the website, but the story's been taken off YouTube, but it happened. A homeless man died outside Parliament. So yeah, what kind of a world is that where we allow that, or we tolerate that? It's what we've become to tolerate. We tolerate a life of, kind of an existence. None of us are living that are working class. None of us can say we're following our dreams, we're living to the full capacity, we're in the pursuit of happiness. We're just existing, and the others that exist, we are so preoccupied with our own existence and keeping that level because it's so hard. We haven't got the time to look out for others and pick them up and carry them and put them on your shoulder and, maybe stop a minute and go, hey, look at this. And it's just, we've got to focus on what we need. So our existence and our construct and our reality is fast taking a shape of which we're not in control of, and I don't think we actually enjoy. and we would like to change it, but when we try to change it, nobody listens.
But what does that say for society if you can't even help? You can't help anybody, and you can't help somebody who's living on the streets. For goodness sake, what does that mean? We are. What are we becoming?
Yeah, it's down to how much power you have. If you want to demand something, you can demand it. It's the same with protests. Why we wouldn't advocate going on a protest, because that will end badly. Pro, means for, and then you got the word test. So you're for something, you're for the test. But when we object correctly and we let our voices be heard, then a different reaction is given. And often you can get a quicker, faster, better result. But it's about status and capacity and what they allow. They're working for the citizens and the people, and the citizens of America, the United States Incorporated, and the USA, and all the other derivatives thereof, including Washington, D.C.'s registered corporative embodiment and entities, the United Kingdom also included in that. We are people and citizens, and until we cognize how to identify as not people and citizens without the full public liability, which used to be common law and belief construct, then we will always be at the mercy of this, because this system has assumptions and presumptions, and you are also the title deed holder to the certificate with the monarchy's stamp on it, saying that you are title deed holder for that name. You've got that name. You are the in equity, you are the debtor, you are the surety and the debt for this obligation. So the system demands that you interact with it. Ignorance is no defense, and we've seen beneficiaries come along. They just hate the system that much that they just refuse to speak to it. And when push comes to shove, they're thinking about suicide and deep things, serious things like that, and they say, "Help me! I just want to go. I just want to get out of here," because, and this is where we get back to the mission at hand. So we let them know their power. We show them the status, the capacity, and about corporations and so forth, and teach them, go on a journey. And so it's like this system. It needs to be told. Otherwise, it runs on autopilot, and there's nothing you can do.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. It's quite depressing then, really, isn't it? It really is. I felt that for quite a while. The more you know, it is quite depressing, because when you look at it that way, there's not much hope, is there?
Well, there is hope, because, as they say, it is by consent, and there is some kind of remedy, freedom, salvation, whether you are belief of the constitutional rights of the what that offers, and the contracts that man has with the monarchy, or whether you are just confident in the way that you know about contracts and how you operate. It isn't something, if the United Nations, it sounds bleak, yes, but there are, like you've mentioned, slavery a few times and certain things, but to have what is it I was saying, to make servitude mandatory is a form of slavery, and it's illegal. Mandatory servitude is illegal. Fact, United Nations human rights. But voluntary servitude is not illegal. So if you beg to be a slave, that's okay. You see what I mean? So the language, it's not nice. It's been written about and it's been prophesized, and it's not like I'm speaking about a particular faith here, because all of the constructs around the ages, and from Babylonian, Assyrians, Sumerians, Arcadia, and they've all said it, and they've all prophesied, and they've all mentioned kings, godlike rulers, how it's been, and we've interpreted and looked at everything, and we believe that we can see that there is we would call it there is a stronghold in this landmass, and this stronghold has got it's got it all covered. What you have to do is work out how to play the game with the stronghold, because as with the Second World War and the dictatorship that we apparently beat, the dictatorship, and it was then a free world, this is illegal. So these governing guidelines, where if you can prove you're a slave, then the system will fall. But you can't prove you're a slave because of the construct and the volunteering to, when you submit a job application, you submit.
Every time we vote for the way it is, we're submitting.
So it's trickery and it's deception. Some say it's fraud, but it's lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, lack of the language. It's just a deceptive game, but there is a way out. There is because if you can prove that there's a hold on, they're threatening. Let's use what Theresa May said about Russia. There has been an unlawful use of force, and we are not happy. Well, there is an unlawful use of force on our brethren, brothers and sisters, mankind, every day in every country, and no one's bothered. But when 2 Russians might have nearly got a nerve agent, allegedly by Putin, the World War III is about to kick off. But yet half the world can be raped and pillaged and shot and robbed and bonded into servitude, and that's fine. It's like, hang on a minute, we really need to prioritise sometimes what this news reel, projects, which is why I try to come on these shows and make time, with a sore throat and not much sleep, to get the message out there and to try and, get the reality to hit home and to people to go, actually, it's time. Yeah, it's time we got on this. It's time we had a look at it at least.
Yeah, but the way they've done it, they've also done it very craftily, haven't they? Because it's a bit like, like we understand that crystals, say, are a lot more important than we ever thought they were, but they've labelled them under hippies, say, for instance. Oh, well, a lot of people, the hippies. Oh, so they won't look at it. They won't look into crystals because, that's associated with that body of people. Because they have done that, haven't they? This is how they've done things. They've labelled things in a certain way, so people won't even go and look at it, won't be interested in it. It's horrible, isn't it? When you actually work out what this all is, I'm on a happy. It's not a happy note, a sadder note. I just feel like they didn't tell us that they've put us in an open air prison.
It's the same for the shape of the Earth, the flat Earth topic. This is why I'm interested. It's a throttle neck. It's a suppression. It's a coveted information. It's back in the ages, the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Akkadians. Them guys shared information. They've got all the tablets like depicting the machines, the processes, the technique. It was open. We was open and loving. We weren't slaves. We had a lot of technology and we were kicking arse. And then somewhere along the lines, somebody's come and interrupted this flow of harmony and gone, I'm the Don and I'm taking it. And they did. And they've took it. And somehow all this history depicts, like even from Iraq, from the megalithic blocks and what we find, there was a story there, a definite story. The Egyptians cottoned onto it after the aforementioned dates that I've said, and the Emerald Tablets, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Enki, all of the stuff that's coming out from Gaia, Zachariah Stitchen's decoding, Alan Watts, Edgar Casey, the Sleeping Prophet. There's loads of things that have come out that have pointed us to alternative history. And that's where we're at, where you are finding out by your own research about this alternative history and these such topics that just fascinate everybody that's online.
Yeah, if only we knew. I mean, we know because we've looked into things a bit, and you especially. But if only we knew this. Let's just hope that some of these young people, like Astral Sun sitting there, wake up quicker and realise what's going on.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Dave. You have got, you got some information on you, but interesting there about the, education. What do we do? What do you think we need to do? Because it obviously needs to change so that people are aware, or that the youngsters of today are aware of all these different aspects, different eras. There's so much that's been happening that we've never heard about. They need to do something anyway. That's what I think. We can't just ignore it, can we? And as what you said before, Karen, about we are slaves, but I've got off my subject there now. No, we're slaves, and people are trying to. What you was talking about, the crystals, that was it. The crystals, that no one's believing the crystals and things, and because it's like we're New Age hippies, New Age hippies, New Age. It's not New Age. This is like ancient technology or ancient knowledge, isn't it? It ain't new. there's nothing new about it, but they put a label on it like that, and people think that we're all sort of weirdos or whatever because, oh yeah, it's all hanky panky and whatever, you know, spunky dory or whatever. I don't know.
You know what? In a sense, will probably be called like the anarchists, but anarchist, it means freedom. So, it's just so annoying when you actually understand it all. Well, it is, isn't it?
There's an element of cognitive dissonance there where one believes what one is told without actually researching it for yourself. And when you actually, that's when others start looking into it and go, oh, wow, I can't believe I was tricked so easily. You know, you follow the crowd and you often find you're getting misled.
I think Jay wants to come in and say something. Jay? Jay, we can't hear you. No, but we did hear you. You must have done something because we can't hear you now. Okay. No.
Restart.
He was talking all right. You heard him talk. Something's gone wrong, but yeah, we need to re-educate ourselves. Anyway, it's bound to be a bit stressful right now, isn't it, for you, David? Because everything's changing over right now, isn't it, for you?
Wow, it's very exciting. It's nothing. It's nothing that's got control or structure as such. It's just happening. It's live and it's
terrible echo. Why is that happening?
No, it's okay.
I'm on my Samsung.
Carry on. I think it was.
Are we good?
Yeah.
It's good. All right,
yeah, you were saying it's a joyful time, but it is. You're just waiting for everything to change over now, so it's got to be a little bit stressful, hasn't it? But very exciting, the unknown and a new way.
Well, as we've just said then and heard, it's not a new technology. It's old as the day is long from day dot. It's like when they're selling you organic vegetables at the supermarket for a £5 a carrot now. Organic's what we used to do. Back in the day, we put a load of horse muck down on a field, throw some seeds, turn it over, let the rain do its job, and the rain comes down. And, you know, if you put the seeds down with the fertilizer at the right time, you have trust in nature. Nature will deliver you for you doing that at that time and waiting. You'll get your crops. And when you got your crops, there was natural, healthy, non-GMO, no, any, big chemicals in there and that, Monsanto, the likes of, and you ate them and they were great. All was good. And then, as we said, they've forced the money. It's all about the money, and that's how they've got it. But this technology, is the trust technology is old. It's trust between man and man, man and woman, man, whatever. From your soulmate, when you get with a soulmate, you have an element of trust there, with an unspoken contract of respect and dignity and honor. And that's what when you invoke equity is invoked in the persona of the man, of the private man capacity. You are not the legal fiction. You are not the assumed name when you are dealing in equity. You are in a capacity which is unique. You are in a status of which, the equity is governed by a stricter, more fundamental side of the law. So you would the maxims in their equity would help if you say. I'm not going to quote all of them, but they are brilliant. They say it out and loud. The maxims of law, on the other hand, and the assumptions are an absolute joke and a farce. So it is.
So basically, what we need to do is learn everything all over again.
Yeah, true. Yeah, definitely. You think you know, but you don't know. What do you know? You know what you've been told. You've had somebody repeat. If we think about our education, which was actually a schooling, as an education is being creative and being given a premise and a concept and being asked to go away. Search for billions in change on YouTube, billions in change. And it's the guy that did the 5-minute energy drink. He made that much money. He gave 99% of his profit away to the better use of mankind. And he created a development and research center for man, for energy, health, all kinds of crazy stuff that Tesla's mentioned, Eric Dollard, quantum mechanics, anything you want. If it benefits man, you can have a grant to do it. And he's put money in, you know, to get all that technology going. So these are the technologies that it's all about, you know, learning and giving it to the youth and getting it out there, the actual technology and the realization of the concepts that we can have and how we could work. He says if he made a machine that made electricity and purified water at a 1% profit, as long as he made 1%, he could indefinitely help mankind forever. That's the way to go forward. It's about a different way of sociological interaction. You know, the Earth's resources are precious. The environment is precious. The animals and the ecosystem are precious. The sea and the aquatics are precious. And we're very, very old ecosystem that's formed here. Mother Nature doesn't like us messing with her, does she? And what we're doing at the minute, we're doing everything to make it angry, and we're doing it all backwards as well. We're paying for our own demise.
Yeah, and we're paying for it. We pay for it at the same time. Oh, the thing is, at the moment though, is it's all that way, isn't it? There needs more people like you to be able to all across the world. I hate saying around the world now. All across the world. Lev, do you want to add anything? Levkungfu?
Did you say me?
Yeah. Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, you mentioned like suicides and stuff, like, and you never heard of it, you know, like on news and all that kind of thing, and papers I never heard of it anyway. But sometimes, like over years, especially during this, you know, this recession and stuff, I've been to train station and stuff like that. And then trains been delayed and stuff, and then when it's come and conductors explained it, is where it's well, we're not really supposed to say and stuff, but you know, they've said there's been an accident on tracks and it's been, you know, a suicide again or whatever and stuff like that. And it's happened several times, like to me, kind of thing. Wow. And another thing is like the depression tablets and stuff like that. I think they're supposed to give like suicidal tendencies and stuff, aren't they? So it's
side effects, yeah.
It's manufactured as this suicide. It's what they want. This, you know, this government wants it, pushes it, doesn't it?
The side effects,
which is
the side effects. That's
it's
what
not
you're saying.
just this government, though, is it? It's what they're doing to everybody. They're doing this to everybody.
That what you just said then about side effects, right? When you read on medicine, they're not actually side effects. They are the effects you get from taking this medicine. It's nothing to do with at the side of taking a medicine, if you understand what I mean. These getting ill, feeling nauseous or throwing up or seeing double or having suicidal tendencies, it's not a side effect in that sense. This is what will happen to you, you know, and this is inbuilt into the drug. This is what happens because, I mean, yeah, they're messing with chemistry, aren't they? They haven't removed all of these elements that can give you suicidal tendencies or make you feel nauseous or want to throw up or whatever. So why they call them side effects, it's nothing to do with an effect on the side. This is an effect of taking a drug. So the word that they use, side effects, it's the wrong word. They should just say, this is the effect you get out of it, man. It's a shit effect. But I mean, yeah, this is what happens.
Yeah.
You know, sorry.
Yeah, effect.
Oh, Astral. I love you, Astral. Sorry, carry on, David.
It's just, yeah, big money. It's about the money, the doctors, the farmer, the cancer, the treatment, what they do. It's that triangle again. You've got somebody there that's pretending to try and cure or help and protect, but they're really not, you know, helping, protecting, there to cure. They are they're a persecutor, you know, and we're looking as a victim there. The victim needs help. So the doctor treats ailments. He doesn't treat the root cause of the issue. He doesn't get to the bottom of it. He gives you something to take the edge off. Well, because if they tackled the real problem, then a few of us would be doing more of these chats.
Yeah. And this breeding of non-trust, I mean, they're the ones that have made it. They're the ones that, it's foul, isn't it, really? It's absolutely foul what we're living in. It's horrible what they've made. I'm just praying that 2018 brings this change for us or something. So many of us want it now. There's such a bad feeling out there. Do you feel it? Is it just me, or does people feel it? There's a negative thing that's just always there now. Or is it just that we're so sensitive and know a bit more that it makes it stand out even more? I don't know.
Well, there are two emotions. If you are of the belief system of which I'm akin to, there are two emotions, and one would be love and one would be fear. And from love comes your happiness and your admiration and your feelings of pride, and all of the positive emotions stem from the core concept of love. And then you have the core concept of fear, which is then, as Master Yoda says, about fear leading to hatred, leading to anger, leading to pain. There's a clue there about the laws of the baseline fundamental ruling laws of mankind, the duality we live in, the physics, the cosmos, the nature of the laws. So when you've got those two, what it feels like outside is that everybody's got the fear element, and they're projecting the vibrational energy level of the fear and the uncertainty, and this is the way it is. So the news is designed to do that, the media, the everyday hustle and bustle, the lack of actual freedoms within your own life to do as you wish, the pursuit of happiness and so forth, and ailments and family issues. So there's not a lot to be rejoicing for at the minute in 2018 as a human race. Our technology should have rendered money and debt useless. We've got 3D printers that can print food for the love of mankind, and it's like we can't feed ourselves, and we've got man-made food scarcities on an abundant planet. We have an abundant sun, we have an abundant power capturing capability, but yet we don't have the power. And it's like we allow this is the what we're seeing now is an unhappiness with the construct, and now an awakening and a desire to actually get and climb out of the pit that you've been in, or to try and fix it.
Yes, we need to get back on this thing. I mean, of loving each other and caring about each other. I mean, we are doing something. I did say to you last time you came on. We're helping Mr. Thrive and Survive. He's got this web page. That's the homepage is up now, called peopleforpeople.life. It's just somewhere to go to get information. Anybody can go to, a bit like yours, but not a trust fund. Maybe people can see who's around in their own community, like, oh, there's 20 people in my own town, 50, 100, 200, 300, whatever it is. And you can all help each other and start making your own communities again, because it's about the only way. Anyway, Jay's back with us. Can you speak,
Can you
Jay?
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it coming through okay? It's my phone, so pardon me.
Go for it, Jay. You want to say something?
Thank you. Thank you. So, David, I want to say thank you for your work, because I teach ballet, and I teach the elements of dance. And what a lot of people have a fear of earth. They have a fear of the elements. People are removed from nature. Am I still coming through? I'm frozen on the screen. Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So people have a fear of earth. Like, I noticed that when I was walking barefoot in front of one of my dance studios in Columbia, South Carolina, I had a ballet parent say, "Oh, I'm a devil worshiper."
Jay,
Oh, he watches the sun. He's the devil. And these people literally believe that Mother Earth, which can feed your feet if you change your appetite. Sorry?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. So to save the bandwidth, turn your camera off. Yeah, he's lovely, because he's one of the people that does sit there with his camera on, so that everybody can see what he looks like.
I didn't know this.
It's just...
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Try now.
Can you hear me? Is it clear?
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah, I'm just saying this. So there are 5 elements. There are 5 major positions in ballet. A lot of dance studios only want to create corporate bodies, meaning dead bodies with legal names. And your Barbie dolls, you have a Barbie ballerina doll, and it's all plastic surgery. Yeah. And so you look at our celebrities, and you have names like Nicki Minaj and plastic booties. So we have Visa cards that are plastic, debit or credit. If I remove the I from debit, my dumbass, it says debt. So when I swipe my card, I'm swiping my own debt and my death. Hence the skull and bones brotherhood of what? Yeah. They hate anything to do with nature. And I'm so grateful for you, David, because natural law is simply us having free will. We have the right to do what we want to do. When you own something, you are giving into the kingship and the queenship. And in America, we have sheriff, which is shire reeve. It means protector of the king's land. Let me say it again. The word sheriff is shire in reeve, protector of the king's land. So when I'm getting pulled over, I'm not just getting pulled over in America. I'm getting pulled over in the kingdom. I yield the floor.
Yes, that's excellent. That's good understanding. That's good cognition of the construct and the controlling matrix. So we would say they are officers. They are officers of the state, and they are operating for the kingdom. The kingdom, you would say, of the United Kingdom, because it looks like the USA and corporate and subsidiary, corporations and entities, derivative under UCC and so forth, commerce, are owned by the United Kingdom, which is what we thought. But then we look at the crowns and how many crowns there are. The crown on Elizabeth's head, and the crown in London, in Greater London, and then the crown that also is controlled by the Vatican. So we have a tri-crown estate, and it's very misleading, because when we sent a boat over, or the boat was sent over with Christ, Ophir, Columbus and the dove, when we planted a flag, when you plant a flag on a land, the inhabitants there become a certain type, status and capacity, because you've claimed that land. And it's down to maritime as well, because the captain has come on the boat with his crew and claimed the land. So that's why we've claimed, or the British Isles, but with the blessing of the Vatican involved. So the monarchy, the army and the Vatican, Game of Thrones style, claimed America and the indigenous peoples of that landmass under certain maritime laws. You guys became citizens of the claimed or original landmass, which would be Britannia, I believe, or the Commonwealth at the time. And then you've since then been you've sworn your pledge of your oath of allegiance. The pledge is sworn to the flag and Washington only, and that's when you become controlled citizens of the state. So you're under a stateship, your states, wards of the state, we would argue. And you're right there with the kingship, because the state is product and property of, and then it's all to do with trust and equity at the bottom of it. But these are officers interacting in the public for a private corporation. That's wrong. You can't do that. You know what I mean? Not unless there is a crime. If there is no crime and it's an offence and a felony and a penal code interaction, then they're just clutching at straws, hoping to get lucky and hoping to get rich.
Yeah, well said. Well said, man.
Go for it, Jay.
No, you're good. I also really want to, am I coming in clear?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I wanted to acknowledge the kingship is also, the ship is also the mother. Anything called a ship, or a lot of men call their cars a she or a her. It's basically the idea of what the mother does, or Mother Earth, the idea of birthing energy. But metaphorically, we have the ability to birth many things from our bodies. We have the ability to project our thoughts and be psychic. We can physically make bodies. We can chant. So I know that I have a superhuman brain, hence you have a nuclear power plant. And my brain means medulla, pith of plants, thalamus, receiver of the flower. And then they're making a nuclear power plant, right? So I think the more we get versed in the words and realize that those mothers, those fathers, those kings and queens are us, we are our own trust. And we get hip to what my man David is doing too. Like whenever I hear things about law, it's the words. It's always the words, because they play with our words. Like when you're going into court, you're going onto a court, which is a game to be played on. And then your judge is on a bench. The bench means a bank.
Yes.
So you're in the waters. It's insane. And it's crazy. Like when you watch, let's say Judge Judy, right? and she has the Scale of Libra blindfold on. She's a big show in America. Or Judge Joe Brown. And they make it funny, but they're all celebrating Saturnian, dark, black robes. That's Osiris. And you're going in there, and you are now a dead body lost at sea. And here's your lifeguard on his bench telling you who you are. I yield the floor.
Can I say something from what David was saying earlier, you know, about love bringing on fear, and that we need to change that, you know, and you were talking about intent. Well, you know, we have this, you've seen obviously the is it the Japanese guy who had a water with
rice water, Dr. Masaru Emoto.
So we know 100% it works, right? We've seen it work. We can do it ourselves and test it and see it works. So definitely we need to change the way that we're speaking and the way that we're thinking in that sense, like love over, you know, hate, or love over fear or whatever, so we can change it in some ways. You know, we're talking about law of attraction. There is a law of attraction. You know, what you wish for comes back to you, you know. But you have to have.
We can prove it. It's been known as God. Sorry, but they call it God as well. Prayer and God. That's what the Christian faith have done. The Roman Catholic, you know, law system that's at hand have tricked and said, if you pray to a man on a cloud, call him Jehovah and blah, blah, blah. This is my opinion. Sorry, Christians online, and to compare and contrast. I've also talked to Muslims about this concept, and they've questioned the Muslim faith. So, you know, it's only fair everybody has a look at their own conceptualization of control, reality, God, the construct. And it is, it's not the prayer being answered. It's your intent, your love. If you want your nan to get through that operation and live, and you say a prayer and she gets through and lives, you think your prayer's been answered. You know, if it was like a 90% chance of failure, so it's a miracle. So, you know, these things can happen if done right. And, you know, you might wish for a better life, or for the cancer to go away, and the cancer goes away, and you think, wow, you know, God's helped me. Well, is it God, or is it, you know, the creator? Is it really Jehovah? Is it Christianity? Is it Judaism? Is it, you know, the Arabic faith? Is it, you know, wow, yeah, I don't want to go into Islam and stuff, but yeah, it could be any faith, any religion. So we put the religions to one side and say we adopt spirituality, and that's universal for all, and it doesn't have any ideology, you know, money towards it, and the ego, and it seems to be working under this spirituality. And what you're on about, love and fear and the vibration, is working a lot more effectively than any religion I can say. And that rice water is proof of the subatomic quantum levels at work, which is then quite scary, because it's a bit more deeper than just a man on a cloud when you talk about particles, atoms, electrons, and the thought processes of your mind, and the, you know, your cerebrum cortex and your pineal gland. Yeah, sorry.
Well, it's all quite incredible, isn't it? I mean, even a human body is incredible.
David, sorry. Did you say pineal gland, or did you say pineal gland? I hope the latter.
Oh, yeah, I'm a little bit dyslexic, and I often get lost in it.
No, sorry. It's only because it would have been a little bit rude if you'd have said penal.
My viewers from Tube know.
You're right there, but yeah.
May I add something there? May I add something? Yeah, in Genesis 32:30, it mentions Jacob seeing God in the land of Pineal, or Peniel, or Pinocchio, or your PIN number. When you get a PIN number and you pin the tail on the donkey, I've done a presentation about how you have a pons in your brain, P-O-N-S, it means bridge of asses. And so if you're an asshead or a butthead, Beavis and Butthead, you see, like, etymology, if you go there, you type in names, you find that Jehovah and Jah and Jupiter are all the same. So whoever has an organized religion, that's okay. You've got organs in your body too, and they play music. Yeah. Hence why Mozart had a magic flute. That would be you. All this shit is about us.
Yeah.
Love, art. We are creators. We're artists. We're symbols of geometry. Yeah. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
You would call it executor, but grantor even, but we're our settlor, not grantor. America's grantor, your law. You would be classed as a grantor under trust and equity, under supreme, sovereign, self-governing divinity. You would do you would claim that sovereign divinity as the under that law. So I like your energy. You're very sharp. That's good.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I've done. I recommend the chat room. I've shared. I have about 200 presentations. They're 1 minute, and it's not about me. This is about the information. It's not mine. I go to etymology and I simply show how all these words are related to each other. Like, for example, when you said protest, I know what Esther is and what testicle is.
Yeah.
Testicle is Esther's energy. Your ether is your sexual energy. She's there. So when you're testing, you're relating to Lucifer, Venus, other energies. Now, she can be the dark light, or she can be obviously the great light that we're supposed to be by the dawn's early light. In our American, we sing it, in our anthem, by the dawn's early light, right? These people like to use words and theater, politics, religions, of course, because it's a way to, I would say, embody chaos and perform it and become this brotherhood. We're one family. That song, "We Are Family." Yeah, that's us. So I yield the floor.
So you're aware of phonetics and the Phoenicians and what happens with Phoenicia and the Great Battle and the movement of Phoenicia to Venice and the Venetians. So Phoenicia become Venetia, and the cardinals, the black nobility. You've obviously looked at some Santos or Walter Vaith or equivalent speaker there and picked up on the movement of the controlling factors over the times and history. And then you've got the Phoenicians that were the world traders. They had a tin trade with the India and England going off 25,000 BC, allegedly, purportedly. They were the ones that decoded the alphabet down to 26 characters of the common tongue of Anglo-English, Babel, that we now speak from Babylon. And we are baby long, so we are still in Babylon. And those that don't want to share in her pitfalls and perils and rewards need to get out. It says, "My people, get out of her if you don't want to share in her sins." So the phonetics and the etymology are an indication of a controlling mechanism of the Babel and the language that we speak, which is encased in the legalese that they use on us, which is a language that looks like English, it sounds like English, it writes like English. But guess what, folks? It isn't English. It's called legalese, and if you use it, you're in trouble. And you're not licensed. It's a licensed language of the temple, BAR. That's the Knights Templar Bar Society of London crown, one of the three crowns at the Triforce estate, in effect. And that what you're picking up on with the phonetics and etymology. I've done a presentation of a couple of hours, so I'll have to link up with you after this chat. And go on to the etymology side of the Troy and the ploy of Troy and what happened with the employment and why the employee and the employer, like I say about trustee, settlor, beneficiary, you have a ploy, a Troy, employment, the Troy horse and the Trojans. And it's, it's very, very deep, like with weddings as well. I'd just like to say before I finish, in England, we used to have these traditions with weddings, and they were called husbandry, where the father of the bride would give the husband to be animals, and that was wedlock. So that was wedlock and husbandry. So that's why the wife's to be, the father's daughter that's getting married, then had a husband, because it's connected with animals being given under Old English Anglo-Saxon law before the Roman civil factions got into our systems, and we had a Bible to record the babies at home, and that was the registry for the Shire folk. And we had a system set up that was quite well functioning, and it got integrated by this, we'll call it, what did I say, a stronghold, because I don't want to get done for inciting anything. We'll call it a de facto stronghold at present. And the wedding and the husbandry, you then have a baby, a bee, it's a baby, and you go on a honeymoon, and you were talking about moon and moony, and it's like, I love my etymology, brother, so I'll leave it there, but that's a subject dear to my heart.
Wow. Yeah, if I could just dance. Wow, that was amazing. Sorry, go ahead, Karen. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, Jay, that's music to his heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the thing about, Madonna actually filmed Like a Virgin in Verona, Verona is Venus, and so she's embodying Aphrodite. So your pop music is your popa or your pope. Had Pope Benefice gave us benefits, and so we have these Pop Tarts, food Pop Tarts. We have pop culture. We have pop sickles. The sickle of who? Saturn, the cult of death. These words are mantras. The Hindus and the mantras, these words have vibrations, and when you speak them, you are creating entities. Like, you know how when you eat bad food and you do a little test of your saliva and you see little parasites going around in your body? It's the same shit with the words, pardon my language. And if I could chime in about how they're raping the mother, the birth, maritime admiralty law, from my research, I watched basketball. And it's a very beautiful metaphor because basketball is Jupiter. He shot out Venus. Venus went through a ring. Uranus means the ring. Uranus is above our 7 heavenly planets. It's a higher understanding in astrology. So she passed through the Uranus. Your anus, it's not to be gross, it's okay. It means a ring. It's all. It's an erogenous zone for men. It's okay, men. It's okay. Yeah. It is an erogenous zone. We don't know that because we're told that doo-doo is nasty, urine is gross. When urine cures cancer, brings back your hair, and kills warts. I yield the floor.
I like that. Clever man. It's true. It's all truth, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm into the word. The word, they always say that first there was the word, and then we get people who are confused. And so when I do my presentations, they look at me. For example, I'll bring together Islam and Christianity and say how Genesis 41:27 mentions 7 green cows. The Quran 12:46 mentions 7 green cows. It's okay. Whether or not these people are good or bad, that's up to the individual, okay? Organized religions, you can still be good people, but it doesn't mean that you're good just because you're a part of this particular way of seeing spirituality. You have to do the work. You must look at symbols. You must know the Pleiades is mentioned in your Bible, and that when you are kidding around with your kids, your baby goats, those are your Capricorns. Yeah. And so we have to be the farmers of our own plant. Your medulla means pith of plants. It's a fact. You are the garden. Yeah. And these rules that we have today, the law, which is the claw. Well, who has claws? Cancer, crab. Okay. Yeah. The fishy ones. These are fishy people.
Skull caps. Yeah. They're skull caps. I know this.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And so they scratch you, right? The AT&T logo, it's a scratch of the tiger. Those 3 strips, they're scratching. The scratch and sniff games where you scratch off the damn thing, you scratch it. And then one more thing. Remember Pizza Hut had the Noid? It was a terrorist that would blow stuff up. And they were selling Pizza Hut in America with a terrorist that would blow up. Now I'm seeing all these people detonating and blowing up. When Pizza Hut's showing me the Noid, I don't know. This pop culture is interesting. Wouldn't you say, David?
It's controlled. It's a mechanism for control and infiltration. It's by repetition to the subconscious. Yeah, we don't realize. I hear the words that are being played now in the music, and I reflect, and I listen to old songs sometimes, and I hear the messages, what I missed back then. He's going to step on you again. You're the man. It's just crazy with the messages that they put out. They put good one. They do, because they have karmic retribution in all of this as well. These systems that are at hand and controlling to get out of the karmic retribution of their immense evil doings. They do charities, and they do Red Cross, and they do things like that, and the World Health Organization, and they balance the scales, when the Egyptian god that weighs the heart at the end, what's his name, and if your heart's heavier than a feather, that's the man. Yes, brother. He then says, sorry pal, and game's over. So this is how they balance them scales. The karmic, they're aware of this. It's not that they're, because people say to me, well, if this was happening, how do they protect themselves from it? What are they doing? Because they would be, this system that you're so embellished in and promoting, it takes care of itself. It's a karmic retribution of give and take. It's an energy force that's omnipresent, that isn't necessarily God. It could be a creator, it could be something else, it could be alien, it could be a digital matrix, so it's omnipresent, and we know that it's there. So these guys, by their same, like when they made the first non-carcinogenic cigarette, Marlboro. Thank you very much for keeping that one back. So all the guys that have died of cancer and didn't need to die of cancer because there's a cigarette that doesn't give you cancer, but they can't, you know, make that because obviously it's bad for the medicine. They made a tyre, Dunlop made a tyre that never ran out, it never wore out. And so they kept that quite secret. It's mental.
Sorry, David, can I say something about cigarettes there? Well, they're going.
Oh, bit of an echo there, Jay. Jay, put the microphone on.
Sorry. Pardon me. Sorry.
That's okay.
Go again.
Yeah.
Are you good?
Sorry,
Sorry, go
Astral,
ahead.
what
Astral,
were
sorry,
you
go ahead.
Astral?
Yeah, sorry. That echo's totally distracted me then. What was the last thing you said, David? I was going to rub on that.
Oh, bless you. Look at you go.
No, but it was
in your head. You have the thought. It's there.
It was right there, man.
It's right on the
And
tip of your
the
tongue.
echo's just disrupted me. Oh.
It was all about corporations, about controlling factors. No, not jog your memory.
Last things you just said then. No.
Someone repeat.
Please, what we were last talking about there,
Gone,
David.
you put me on the spot.
You need to pause, David. I'm sorry to say.
Sorry for the echo. We were speaking about etymology, Astral. Like we were talking about claw, law, and then David built upon that and how the words and the energies of the words are heavily responsible for mind control and controlling. So if you want to expand upon what you feel with that, I mean, it really doesn't matter like exactly being on. You know, go ahead, man.
It was actually a specific word that I was into, so
Oh.
I'm gonna. It doesn't matter. I'll yeah, forget about it. I'll find out later, and then I'll tell you. It's
Oh, sorry, man.
It's not good.
Cigarettes.
I'm trying to write things
Cigarettes
down
and
here.
tobacco.
Tobacco, cigarettes, Goodyear, non-carcinogenic cigarettes, Marlboro.
That was it. That was it. That
Goodyear,
was it.
well
That was
done,
it.
yeah.
That was it. Right. So you can actually buy them here. That you can get cigarettes that are non-carcinogenic or whatever. Right. But apparently, you can buy them here in Denmark. Cigarettes that are healthy. Believe it or not. Yeah, healthy.
Wow. That's how we first got hooked on him.
No, but listen, you can buy these cigarettes. They're greener in that sense. I'm not talking that it's marijuana or anything. I'm talking that you buy them in the shops, but they cost more than normal cigarettes do, right? But what I'm getting away from is my original thought, and that was tobacco. Tobacco doesn't cause you cancer, does it? Just the raw tobacco I'm talking about. Many moons ago, right? When tobacco first came out, it's because now they put over 70 drugs in them that can cause cancer. All these carcinogenics and all these, additives and God knows what else. 70. One packet of cigarette has over 70 different kinds of drugs in it.
Wow.
They ain't good. I mean, shit, to keep it burning longer or burning less smell or, to, I don't know, but 70 different kinds of drugs in there. I mean, what, are they crazy or what? I mean,
wow.
Yeah, think about that, man. We're putting that in our body. I smoke.
I think they're trying to turn us into plastic.
Trying to kill us.
Yes, Karen.
Something like that, isn't it?
It's saltpeter is the one. Yeah, they put arsenic. They do put the cancerous chemicals in. Yeah, but what they did,
Thank you.
They advertised in England. They advertised before the First World War or during the First World War, before the Second, about smoking and that it's actively good for you and it clears phlegm off your chest. And they promoted smoking, and then after medical analysis, they said, "Oh, actually, we've made a mistake." But everybody was hooked, and it was fashionable. So that's how they got us all smoking.
Can I add in about saltpeter? Thank you for that one, brother. I just did research on that. They put that in your meat. They put it in gunpowder and in your fireworks. And they use it to so-called keep the meat like nice and fresh. But what you're putting in your body is quite the opposite. And I mean, it's really intricate when we see the ingredients. Like sodas have yellow number 5 or red number 8. Like what Astral was saying, the preservatives are also rituals. Those things shift your DNA. I did this thing where, you look at your DNA and imagine your DNA becoming 2 parallel bars and division. And that's why they like the 2 pillars of Freemasonry, because your DNA spiral makes the one serpent from the 2. And you look at today, the food does that to you. Religions are doing this. Well, we go on and on. So it's quite a crazy world. I yield the floor if anyone else wants to chime in, please.
I've just got to take
Well,
a bike outside. 2 minutes.
Pardon?
2 minutes. I'll be 2 minutes. Go on, carry on.
Oh, okay then. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say something. It relates to what you've been talking about, because it was the program that was coming up next, and I watched it about tobacco that doesn't cause cancer, but of course they can't bring it in because so many people would sue, wouldn't they? But the program before that, which isn't really to do with tobacco, but a lot of people might not know this, but it was about this thing called Captain Wire, and what it was is that all planes, military planes, civil planes, had Captain Wire in it. And Captain Wire was great when it was new, but it wasn't great when it was old. And when it was old, it was spark. And of course, everybody, I think most people know that they put all the wires underneath the seats, all the hydraulics, everything, all in these wires. And then you've got sparking cables. It knocks the hydraulics of the plane out. And I think, you know, I put it together that, oh yeah, when they said that might be a terrorist, or maybe it was because Captain Wire had happened, you know, an incident in a civil plane. And this is what was really happening was that the planes were coming out of the sky because of this reason. Terrible, isn't it? But hardly anybody knows that. But at the time, this is how old ago this program was. Richard Branson was bringing his planes out, and he wasn't. His planes were new, and they weren't having Captain Wire in them. But a lot of the planes for a long time still had Captain Wire in them, even though the military took it all out of their stuff. So I'm just saying,
Karen,
you know, that's a program.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, how many people know that? How many people know that? Don't you think that's really important? Don't you think that people should have known that? Was that a program?
Yes, I agree.
The military
I was going to say, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just saying the military took it out of everything. Imagine the exercise that would have been to have completely planes wiring to get rid of this Captain Wire.
Wow. Well, I have an aha moment here. So I read a book called The Hidden Persuaders by Vance Packard. He talks about the psychology of how they get people to smoke and you know, the chakras and the colors. And so with cigarettes, they created a filter for you. But then I'm having an aha moment now, because we're being chemtrailed for quite some time, right? I didn't know about chemtrails till recently. The Simpsons intro is in smoke, by the way, and the Simpsons show you nuclear power plants and people who are yellow and green colors. And so what's interesting about this is that, like, basically they put a filter on it. So we've been smoking our chemtrails. They put the preservatives in it, like Astral said. They've got this thing so well sewn. So they've put the preservatives into tobacco, which the Native Americans use for meditation, in peace pipes. They hate plants. Marijuana, weed is bad for you, apparently, when it actually cures cancer. We know this. It cures depression. It's good for your libido, all this stuff, right? So this plant life stuff, like, they really have a thing with nature. And so we're smoking ourselves to death with preservatives, and then we're inhaling the chemtrails. So what a conundrum that is. I mean, I yield the floor. Wow, that's crazy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Morgellons disease. Are you aware of this?
I've heard of it. Could you explain it to me again, man?
Well, like, the victim or the patient will say there's something on their skin, on the peripheral surface of their skin, and it will be attached like a bit of plastic or some foreign object, and they'll either detach it themselves and put it somewhere and then analyze it independently, or they will take it and the medical associations just say that there's an infection of some kind, and they're very dismissive. But the ones that have independently analyzed this have found that these particles are not any compound of which we're aware of. There are dry blood cells in the compound found. There are DNA strands. It's got like proteins in it, and it's all totally foreign to these independent laboratories and guys that are really getting in there. What we're doing now, discussing our own conscious, thoughts and principles on what we believe. They've done the same and used the periodic table of elements as their Bible, and they've gone, well, what is this? And where the victims have it, then it will inflame the skin, and it's like an adverse reaction to some foreign object, basically.
Wow. Wow, that sounds a lot like, the depleted uranium that our lovely government bombs in third world countries. And that what that does, that depleted uranium, is it creates like years and years of children being born deformed, missing body parts. I mean, even some of the Marines came back with stuff and they were making babies that had problems and weird things. This whole idea with uranium, anything with Uranus, once again, I really encourage everyone to research urine therapy, because Uranus means the heavens, and metaphorically, our body produces healing and loving energies. And if we just rethought it and didn't think so much about the grossness of what we've been told, I think it can give us more closure with sicknesses or random things. Yeah, David, that was interesting, man.
What we can do there is we'll start looking at, the French call it aqua vita. It's prophesied as the fountain of youth back in the, the fountain of youth has been heralded as man's urine. So we are seeing that it's having beneficial effects with the reprogramming of the microbacterial or one of the 12 systems that we have in us is a microbiological, immune system and so forth. And it's very complicated and complex bit of, systems that we've got. I can't explain it all. I'm aware of it, but its basic functions and how cells and bacteria and parasites and so forth act in our body, and also disease and the DNA and the RDA, the systems of a basic, conceptualization of that. But the urine is heralded to look at your body once you've taken the right quantity of it and the right amount at the right time of the day, I might add, allegedly, and it looks at your body and scans everything like a health scan, and it finds the defunct bits, and it allegedly repairs all of these bits by then instructing the hormones and the amino acids and the compounds that we hold, and it just tells your body to fix itself. So I'm quite repulsed. I'm repulsed at the thought of this. It repulses me, but I'm a scientific man. So if I find if I'm repulsed by it, but I know it will be beneficial, I'll force myself to try this out. So we need to analyze and look at this in depth. And like, I have friends and YouTube viewers that actually that swear by this and say,
have you seen any? Sorry to interrupt you, David. Have you seen anything you mentioned there, allegedly? Have you seen anything of allegedly? Because he's looked a lot into it, actually. He's got a few videos there on YouTube.
Videos? I know.
Yeah, about urine therapy, and he's actually drinking a pint of piss one time, to show somebody. Look, I do it, right? But yeah, I first heard about it it wasn't allegedly Dave, it was someone else. But when I found out Dave was there, I was like, what? Yeah, and he has his own mother doing it, right? And she was all frail and everything, but she's benefiting from it now, really benefiting. And not only her, he's writing to people, or people are writing to him, he's responding, and they're doing certain things about health and this, that, and the other, whatever's wrong with them. And he's also guiding them with urine therapy, and they're having, good results. So there is something in it, definitely. And it's, apart from
quite a few people write to him.
We're repulsed by the idea.
They're writing to him and asking him for help all the time, and so he helps as best he can.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'm done. Sorry, I was just I was
You're
just
good, man. No, it's good. Urine therapy. Santos got me into it. I forget the individual's name. Awesome English truther. He's of color. You know his name, Karen. He's a flat earther, a really awesome flat. Anyhow, he was talking about
Dave Murphy.
That's what I said.
Dave Murphy.
Pardon me?
Dave Murphy, allegedly Dave.
Yes, thank you so much. When he talked about
we were
it, right?
Talking about it. That's who we were just talking about. But carry on.
Yeah, no, you're good. When he was talking, he sold it to me in a way where it made sense. First of all, he's doing it, and he's showing me his hair grow back. He says, my hair came back. I was like, okay, wow. And then he said, my mom had multiple scoliosis and was in a wheelchair, and she tried it, and she healed herself, and then she's doing it with him and promoting it. That shocked me. You know how hard it is to get older people to just love Earth again and walk barefoot in Earth, and it's okay. All the germs they think they're going to get, and they go get their vaccinations, and then they get more germs. So so I started drinking. Very simple. They say to drink your first one in the morning, because that's when your body is fresh, you've slept, you've regenerated. When you urinate, the first urine you piss, pardon my language, that is the most pure expression of your fluids, all of them, blood, all of it. So you just drink it, and then what you feel is like you get this sort of electric, light, buzzing energy. You don't feel hungry. My hair is growing back. My appetite's different. My moods, I mean, I'm dealing with a lot of crap right now, but I can handle it better because my moods are balanced, because I'm putting more salt back into my body, because urine tastes like salt water, because we are the sea. Your hippocampus means a seahorse. I mean, we are fucking Poseidon, pardon my language. You are Zeus, you are Aphrodite, it goes, I mean, all of us are so awesome. And I really encourage research. I yield the floor.
Do you do urine therapy, David?
The jury is still out. To quote Dragon's Den, I need proof, and I'm hearing proof, and I'm seeing it. So it doesn't seem too far-fetched a concept. It's just the actual process. You would think most of us are of the impression that what comes out is waste, for one, and is not needed by the body, and is good for getting rid of. So he's just said a good point. It's the first urination of the day, and you let the first, couple of seconds of urination pass, then you capture, in essence, the middle part. You then let go and let the end, continue on. If this is correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know. And then you let that cool, so to speak, I don't know, get ready for bottoms up and drinking it. So it just seems very foreign, but we know the human body and man's body is a very complicated machine, and we know that it is 80% water, and this is a water technology, and this water technology, it could potentially, I don't see the harm in doing it, apart from it might make you sick when you did it, because you will be trained, your subconscious, and the programming we've got is that we shouldn't ever be doing this. It's against everything. So not against everything, but it's a taboo, if I may call it that, a taboo. So I think it's been, because it's a taboo and the way that it's suppressed, then we do need to look at it and see, and get our own evidence, make our own informed, as we do with law and the digital university that we're offering across the platforms. We'll make our own discovery and our own informed decision about what we about what we see, and that's how we'll make a decision. But I don't see any negative of any feedback about this, other than the usual comments. You're taking the piss here, mate. You're having a giraffe. Taking the piss.
That's it. Hey, listen, I'm going to continue listening to you guys, but I have to say good night to you all. My son's got to get up early in the morning, I'm on his computer here, but thank you. I will continue listening, like I say, and what more can I say? Good night.
Much love to your son, man.
Much love. Take it easy, people.
Congrats, Astral, and to your son and daughter.
Thank you.
Big love. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, darling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. May I dance with David on the body thing? Because I think it's a really important thing to share about the body and how it's, is that okay?
Go on, Jay.
No, yeah. No, it makes me excited because I want people to know what their body parts mean. So you have a cuboid in the foot. I've done presentations. Earth is the cube. So when you're earthing, you are balancing yourself with the cube. There's no thought needed. There's no medication. There's no shaman needed. There's no doctor needed. The biggest doctor is the cuboid bone in that foot. When you go on the bare earth, any kind of dirt, she's electric magnetically vibrating with you. You're making love to earth. And so then you have, of course, your phalanges bones. Really important bone. I never get tired of saying this. It means a military division. So now your body clearly has a design that is designed to defend itself and possibly destroy things for a reason, not just crazy hurting innocent people. Your tibia means a flute. So we know Mozart had a magic flute. So now if I'm going to hear this genius, I, in the audience, the one who paid a ticket and gave him his career, can say, well, I have a tibia flute. I'm important too. That's it. It lets go of the whole groupie thing when you know your body. You have a meniscus. It relates to a lemniscate. The sun does a sine wave where the word sinner comes from.
Yeah.
Your meniscus is a gorgeous symbol of the figure 8. Please Google it. Don't take my word for any of this stuff. Go to etymology and Google these images. Very important. Your lungs, etymology, means light. That's it. Light. We have a solar plexus, light. So now if I'm going to pee in something, I've just told you already that the earth is in me. I am an instrument. I am a military warrior. I am grounded. I can build and destroy. And I move like the figure 8 of the sun. Whoa, it gets better. Your clavicle in etymology relates to Cleopatra. She was a queen using your bone to tell you something about what it really means. It means key. It means the earth. Clavicle means key. In Sumerian, that is the earth, reminding you how flat she is. Your clavicle is not a ball. Then the brain. I cannot tell you how important it is to know your brain. Your optic thalamus means many things. A bedroom, a vault, the wedding, the alchemical wedding, a flower, for God's sake. Why? So I go to my medulla, it says pith of plants. I go to my cortex, it says bark of a tree. All trees last thousands of years. Give me one oak tree that just dies after, 50 years? Okay? An oak tree will live forever. That's in your head, right? So now, whoa, wait a minute. I'm into pyramids and geometry. Well, you have medullary pyramids. Research. Go right now, chat room. You have medullary pyramids in your brain. So now you're telling me I'm a military, I'm earth, I'm a key, I'm a figure 8, I'm an instrument, I'm a flower, I'm a vault. Now you're telling me I am the most mysterious structure that no one knows who built them? Well, they were built by bricks. David, don't your abdominals when you are cut look like bricks, my friend?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I just explained to you what Solomon's temple is. See, Santos is a brilliant man because he'll take the word, right? And he'll define Sol, the sun, Om, the Hindu word of God, On, the city of light. I just told you your lungs are light. You cannot debunk this. What I'm saying is not designed only for me. I could give two craps about my face. This information is all of us. So if we're going to get grounded in law, we have to know what natural law means. We are beings of light that are a hybrid of everything you see outside. When you look at a tree, you are looking at your brain tree. There's a brain tree subway station in Boston where I am from. Why? Why the hell would it be called a brain tree? We branch out with the banks. I'm going to go out on a limb for you. I have a gas petal, a flower petal. So where'd the car come from? What, Edison? Ford? No, these men know it came from the ether, the creators. Even going to the bathroom is got to be careful with that because Nature Boy, an awesome truther on YouTube, he's got an intense style, but I listened to a presentation about going to the toilet. And what the seat does it bonds your, pardon me for saying this, but it bonds your anus and makes it tighter. So when you're pushing, you're forcing and you're not allowing your circle to ease out all the toxins. When you do it squatting, like in China, I'll never forget it when I was in a dance company, we toured China, I thought it was gross. I was like, oh my God, I can't squat. Well, apparently squatting, when you cop a squat, it's the best way to relieve your toxins. So even in our going to the bathroom, I hate to say this, but it is true. I had a lot of hemorrhoid problems from eating meat and probably from stressing my poor ring in the toilet bowl of the aristocracy because, you know, the queen has her bum wiped, right, David?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, man, I don't want to bleed in because I can go on and on. It's not my show. It's our show, but I'll yield it there and just really want people to know at the end of the day, this is about information. We get guys like David or anyone, Karen, providing platforms with all this information. I encourage everyone, look it up yourself. You must, because you are all incredible beings. And I'm out here teaching dance for that reason, you know? And I want to work for that reason, not for, I want to make some girl have an abdominal muscle and do 5 pirouettes on 1 foot. But she's depressed on medication and wants to kill herself, and she's going to throw up in the bathroom. And I know why, because you're making her do splits all damn day. You're not telling her she's beautiful, you know? They're not saying that you are a fortress, you are the sun, you know, your earth. No, you're a student now, and put on your slippers and shut your mouth, put your hair in a bun, and listen to what I have to tell you. I can't anymore with this. So I yield the floor there. Thank you once again, David.
Can I say something?
Please.
If you do understand more about the words that are being used, I don't know if anybody remembers James from New Zealand coming on. He's got this thing where he's worked out that the way that they structured everything, and they use our fear and anxiety to make money. It's all to make money. And, you know, he's very articulate with the words he uses. So if we started to actually say different words, we'd all start maybe feeling better. But it is really horrible. You have to go to the rock bottom and you have to see it for what it is. And it's not very nice. But in reality, hopefully, we're just going to start using different words. Like, it is actually lovely to hear men on this panel talk about love. It's lovely. I love it.
I missed, what was the word you said? It's lovely to hear men say what? It got cut off for me, sorry.
To hear men talking about love.
Yes. Absolutely.
Sorry, I don't mean to put it in men, but you know what I mean by that. Especially English men, David, who are quite arrogant, aren't they, really?
Well, pride
Generally.
Pride comes before a fall, and the way that the establishment and the music culture since Boy George and George Michael and certain other, you know, bands that have come out and promoted, we'll call it, you know, homosexual relationships and publicised that. The other side of the coin is that the non-homosexual Anglo men feel a little bit pigeonholed now to be extra masculine and extra strong, just to show that they're not gay. Don't ever be confusing them with the, you know, to be gay. Or a lot of them may have gay tendencies and want to hide it because they don't want to come out. And it's like society's mind's been warped so much. It's fractured, I would say. It's quite a lot fractured. But may I just ask a question? Have you watched Chiron Last videos? Any of you? Have you ever watched the Golden Web to do with etymology or the understanding of the language and the words?
No, it sounds interesting. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I've not seen that.
I'd like you to make a note. If this is one of the best gifts that you can ever give yourself. CH is CHIRONLAST, and then you would look for the Golden Web. Please look for the Golden Web by Chiron Last on YouTube. I'm just checking it is that, because I am a little bit dyslexic and get stuff mixed up. But yeah, I found it. All the viewers, America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, the Commonwealth, non-Hague countries, Hague countries, international, non-international, you will all need to look at this.
Awesome.
It is a massive conceptualization. You're about to receive in the 2-hour segments, 2-hour 52 and 2-hour 18. If you watch them in the you know the course of one day, you will receive a vibrational frequency of which you will definitely accelerate in your understanding and cognition of everything that we're talking about today. And also there's a playlist with Chiron Last that's got about 30 videos in, and there's one called The Divine Comedy, and the Divine Comedy is kind of then taking the construct and the language of which we have been talking about on this session today, and shows you how the establishment have put that into a practical bondage system, of which the likes of John Lennon and Bob Marley and other such musicians tried to show us. Michael Jackson, they don't really care about us. You know, certain musicians have said, but we didn't hear the message. But now we found what they was on about. Granted, we're years, eons behind, but this guy has got to be heralded for one of the mentors that I have, for the way that I can now cognize and utilize and separate and try to pass the knowledge on in a tangible way that's you know, going to be an advantage to you, for you guys, for empowerment.
I'm on it right now, man. Thank you. I subscribed and I'm excited to actually watch it. Thank you.
It's incredible. You will, for most, it does say in there after 2 hours and something, it's a hardcore watch. It's just a black screen with white words just scrolling up constantly. He doesn't have many pictures. It's his voice. He's got a really nice voice, which is great. He's not like, you know, offensive. He's got an eloquent way of putting things, and he references mostly probably every language on this plane of existence or ball, whichever it is. And you know, it empowers you. But where you've got Santos telling you about the importance of the know thyself, if you've watched Santos Know Thyself, and you know of England, of John Harris and certain other, you know, profanic speakers of the type, New Zealand you've got Bill Turner, America you've got Winston Shrouts and Carl Lentz, and you start to listen to how the continents all employ a different language, a different structure, but it's all governed under the trust and equity. And Chiron will help show you what the system is, how the shops operate, how the energy is transferred, how the Saturn and the rings pull into it, the humans and the church and the monarchy and the language, and it will do a great deal more than we can ever do by chatting and doing this. You know, everyone can learn at their own speed with it, which is great.
And hey, man, may I also promote my YouTube? I put it in the chat room, I think, man. I'd love for you to subscribe if you can and check out some of my 1 minute videos. I'd love to get your thoughts on it, man, because yeah, like what you're saying, I'm making a lot more connections through etymology, and it takes you to all the other names in different cultures and what the word was invented and what year it was invented. So then if you're into history, you can then add more notes to that and be like, okay, that makes sense here. And then it just gets it done fast, man. So I'm grateful to hear this.
I have I've been searching in my Facebook domain in the Sovereign Paralegals Trust here, and I found a post from June 11th, 2017. It will take me 5 minutes to read it through, but I'd like to spend the time and go through. And some of this has come from Santos, some of this is from the group itself and the master brain provided by the unity of us lot getting together and having a chat. So may I just read this? It will take about 5 minutes, though, to be fair.
Yeah, that would be a pleasure if you
What's
do
your
that.
full
Can
name,
I just
David?
ask one thing?
Okay, go ahead.
The chat room would just like to get the name of. Could you just write it in the chat room? What for them to look up on YouTube?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Shout out for the chat room.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I'm in chatting to them.
What's your full name, David?
David Giaramita.
On Facebook?
Yeah, on Facebook. Yeah, I have to spell that. Oh, it's on. You can see it in the chat room. Oh no, Indiglo. Wait, I'll put it in here now so then you can find me. There we go. It's going as Indiglo's posted that now. I've posted a Chiron last link there for them as well to get the chat room can get the Golden Web Part 1 on hidden knowledge.
Thank you, David.
I download it as well. These have got no license, so anybody that knows how to screen grab, to video grab on free open source technology videos, stuff like this, it is beneficial to get it, and then you can watch it when you're not online. Anybody that has issues with internet access, go to someone's house that has got free Wi-Fi access, and then use the download capability. Fill up loads of USB while you're there, and then take that back to your house where you haven't got any internet access. And you can still enable research. It's called resource sharing. Right.
Yeah,
here we
please
go.
read. Thanks for that as well, putting it in the chat room.
So here we go, guys. This UK law is all wrapped up in satanic rituals within the Roman Catholic Church, in my opinion and findings. It seems to be demonic, and the church say they have claimed our souls. No one is claiming my soul and making me any kind of slave. This is biblically and morally wrong. No. So, yes, we believe we are sovereign. I answer and serve the Creator before my government codes. Sorry, I swore. I've edited that out. I have children, aka property, that has been claimed. I, man, will spend all my time finding out how to free our children's souls and ours. right? That's the original post that I put up, like a little thing in Facebook, and there was some subsequent comments, and so then I've commented with the fiscal agents of Mystery Babylon. And agents fall under the trust and equity realm, an agent relationship, but we're talking the mystery of Babylon. So since its beginnings, the Temple Church at the City of London has been a Knight Templar secret society. It was built and established by the same Temple Knights who were given their rule and order by the Roman Pope. It is very important to know how the British royal crown was placed into the hands of the Knights Templars, and how the Crown Templars became the fiscal and military agents for the Pope of the Roman Church. This all becomes very clear through the concessions of England to the Pope on May the 15th, 1213, quite near when the Magna Carta was done. The Charter was sworn in felt by England's King John to Pope Innocent and the Roman Church. It was witnessed before the Crown Templars as King John stated upon sealing the same. I myself, bearing witness in the house of the Knights Templars, pay particular attention to the words being used that we have defined below, especially charter, fealty, demur, and concession. We wish it to be known to all of you through this our charter, furnished with our seal, not induced by force or compelled by fear, but of our own good will and spontaneous will, and by the common counsel of our barons. Do offer and freely concede to God and his holy apostles, Peter and Paul, and to our mother of the Holy Roman Church, and to our Lord Pope Innocent, and to his Catholic successors, the whole kingdom of England and the whole kingdom of Ireland, with all their rights and appurtenances. We perform and swear fealty for them to him, our aforesaid Lord Pope Innocent, and his Catholic successors, and the Roman Church, binding our successors and our heirs by our wife forever, in similar manner to perform the fealty and show homage to him who shall be chief pontiff at that time, and to the Roman Church without demur. As a sign, we will and establish perpetual obligation and concession from the proper and especial revenues of our aforesaid kingdoms. The Roman Church shall receive yearly 1,000 marks sterling, saving to us and our heirs our rights, liberties, and regalia, all of which things, as they have been described above, we wish to have perpetually valid and firm, and we bind ourselves and our successors not to act counter to them. And if we or any one of our being duly warned, he come to his kingdom, and this sense to be shall lose his right to the kingdom, and this charter of our obligation and concession shall always remain firm. That's like, believe it or not, that's the beginning bit, and then there's another about 5 minutes here. All right, so then it goes on about the court, and we say that when you go to court today, it's all about commerce, and the Phoenicians and commerce are connected today. The word phony, this is coming from Santos, by the way. Someone's called a phony. It comes from Phoenicia and phonetics, language, and the alphabet. It went to Greece and Rome. It comes from Phoenicia, the Assyrians, and the Babylonians, possibly the Greeks. The Greeks hated Phoenicians and the phonetics. The Phoenicians were tin trading with England 3,000 years ago, and they set up and destroyed Carthage, Italy. There was many battles to destroy Tyre, Phoenicia. Alexander the Great dealt with the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians went to Venice, and they became the Venetians. When Rome was sacked, they all went to Venice. The black nobility found Venice on the water, just like Phoenicia was on the water. Then he says the Venetians went all across Europe. They married into the royal bloodlines. They had lots of bullion because they was trading all around the world, and they had a lot of assets. Basically, they were the richest on the lands. Then they found the Jesuits. The Jesuits, they were running the world. They are kind of guilty comparable to dogs, drug trafficking and dealing in the, you know, maybe the monarchies could be mixed up in this. God, in the past, from the evidence we've seen, looks like the monarchies had dealings with the Jesuits at times in the past. A lot of blood has been spilled. And even in the Bible and holy gospels and books, it says the death of God's witnesses, the Creator's witnesses, the blood will go up to their noses. Rome's founded Paris and Rome founded London. They are all Roman corporations. L, London, the city of the Lord, or L, the sun or Saturn. Paris, Suisse, for Isis. And what do you find in the center of Paris? You found the Notre Dame. And who's the Notre Dame? Well, that's Isis. Now, Rome is an interesting story because Rome, when good old Babylon was destroyed, the priesthood, those cardinals, the guys dressed in red, Babylon, that's the reason the whole thing is called Babylon the Great. Get out of her, my people, if you do not want to share with her in her sins, because you will. Is a system of shit designed up as freedom. This is quoting George Carlin. For you, you just get a birth certificate and you join the corporation and you can get on the citizenship. What they have done is put you on their ship, their vessels, their mothership. We think we have rights because we're on land. We have no rights that are Creator given. See 1066 land tenure. The Creator, the cause, the one with no name, unconditioned consciousness, blissful, that is our true nature. So why are we suffering and why are we sick? Going to the doctor, getting tablets, you know, things like this. Because this system, it's got to go. This is quoting the late great Jack Fresco and the Venus Project. This shit's got to go. This is we're the one that we're going to bring it down, that's going to bring it down with our consciousness, each and every one of us, and by preaching to the world. Peaceful non-compliance. Do not comply with these people or entities. They are phony. It's mass. It's not mass disobedience that's the problem. It is mass obedience and blind following that seems to be the problem at hand, with no first-hand knowledge coming to light. This is the problem we have now. So we see ourselves as shepherds within all of this. This is why this research and development and study and comparison and contrast over thousands of years is taken to this point here. So they have set up a good old system, the system where we don't have any rights anymore. So don't go to court saying that you have rights and God-given rights. You don't do that because you haven't. You have services, service privileges and benefits. So that's George Carlin again. Look at your local newspaper print to see what services, privileges and benefits you losing this week. Search Law and Black's Law Dictionary for what that means. Look at the implied legal definition of services, privileges and benefits. We're all slaves and we're on a slave ship. We can have a privilege, we can go to jail because that's a benefit. It's a benefit to the system, much like us paying tax, another benefit to the system. We are enslaved. When a child is born, it comes through a birth canal. When a ship comes in from the high waters from another land, which has different laws and cannot trade with another country unless it has maritime law, it comes from the birthing canal and is docked. A doctor is present when a baby is born. That's the dock. The baby is delivered in a delivery room. Human souls are not delivered. We are born and not birthed, and we are not a product. A product is delivered in a delivery room. A certificate of manifest is a statement of life. It's saying, look, here is a baby. Then comes the baby's birth certificate, bonded, and it is certified. It was a statement of life, of birth. Then the parents have informed of the manifestations. The organization has been created. There is an assimilation of a recognized legal entity, much like the boat's captain gives the boat's manifest to the port. Government certified your birth certificate. Bondsman at the General Register's office. Now you are a citizen on their ship. You have got 7 years to reclaim or be salvaged under the CQV 1666, United Kingdom, various editions. The waters they have put around our planet, around the world, and see the little watermark 2 foot off the ground, the little bronze strip that's near the where they brought the water up. You see the pyramids in Washington, a monument of 666 granite foot. London has one, Greater London, and Rome has the largest natural obelisk. from Egypt in the middle of St. Peter's Square, stolen from Cairo by Julius Caesar. And the Julian dynasty is the family that started these corporations. I believe, Santos believes, and other such great talkers. Julius and his adopted son Augustus were the first sons of gods to rule an empire, and the republic went bye-bye, just like the Vatican did 130 years ago in America in 1881, 21st of February. The 1881 Act, it's an act. They are acting. The US is a corporation, not the United States of America, the republic. And the Christians have been led into thinking it's a Christian country. The Christians killed the indigenous inhabitants, converting them to Christ by the edge of the sword, putting them into reservation camps. Criminals, the lot of them, bullies and murderers. No redemption for them will be coming at all. Consciousness must come to save this planet. What year and did the United Kingdom come to exist? Or, I've asked what year it was formed. And that's it, basically. That's the end of the preach.
The only thing that's wrong in that is it's not a planet.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's yeah, you're right. I believe that too. Correction. Allowed. Sustained.
But very deep and absolutely correct, isn't it? The thing is, it's really sad, isn't it? Because like a lot of people are proud to go and get that birth certificate. Oh, that means my baby's here. And after all you're doing is entering into, well, and the really sad thing is there isn't even anywhere to help anymore, is there? I mean, there are people like you. What I mean is the system is nowhere, nothing helps you, nothing works.
There's groups on Facebook. There's a lot of groups that we know of exposing the matrix of lies, and there's big groups out there that are helping us. There are common unities that exist in a digital form that are interacting and sharing. It's just that there's no control. There's no validation of it. There's no monitoring. There's no structure. There's no control. There's no who's reliable, who's taking liability for all this alleged advice and lawful. And you can't solicit without a license. You can't purport to advise and advocate, and sell services or even give it for free. You could give the wrong information for free. You are allowed to interact, and there is the freedom of speech, so you can discuss hypothetically legal and lawful situations, and by trying to help you could get someone, a brother or sister, in a whole heap more trouble than they was initially going to face. So it's a dangerous game to play, and that's why we call ourselves a university. We offer an alternative form of learning, an avenue to come in and immerse yourself in the private, and let's have a chat, and we'll hypothetically put scenarios together, or we will actively help a request in the group and deal with the clam or the appointeeship request to talk to the NHS, DWP, or judicial departments at JBW solicitors that are a very aggressive collection agency operating in the United Kingdom that don't follow the civil procedure rules and go around threatening old age pensioners because they think they've got the liability to pay this, and we've clearly said that they haven't. We've asked for a cease and desist. They ignore it, and it just escalates out of control. And again, we come back round to the suicide and the misery and the harm and the injury. That's an English man, an English woman in their castle, in their dwelling, in the private, should not feel threatened and intimidated by an automated system. Sometimes there's no human interaction. The aggressive collection of the council tax for the state, for the United Kingdom, that is one of the most aggressive collection techniques and methods you'll ever see in any business in the United Kingdom. The present council tax enforcement and litigation enforcement that they do with regards to that is inhumane, and most of it is through an arbitrary, de facto, administrative, fraudulent system. So it's like, what? It's so deceptive.
Yeah, what they do is they've set it up in such a way that probably by the time they answer you, it's too late anyway. For most people, it's too late to help.
There's a comment saying that Freeman on the Land has got somebody out of some trouble in the past. So you are able to find your own remedy and get your own discovery, you know, channels sorted, and you can get your remedy from wherever. You know, we're not telling you, we're not giving you an instruction. We're giving you options and giving you the option to be duly informed, fully informed, independently informed, with no bias, no moral, no ego, and no monetary gain, except to empower everybody on this journey. So it's been suppressed and kept for long enough, and there is a lot of confusion out there. But we are not free, man. We are private. I operate in the private capacity, and that's where the trust and the equity operate in a private. When you're in the public and you're at the at law public, well, that's your common law, and your common law is your at law public side, guys. So when you start saying common law, a private man wouldn't necessarily invoke common law, but a private man can break common law by doing, say, harm, injury, or loss. You would then be coming out of the private and into the public, because you need to answer and remedy for the actions that you've caused somebody harm, injury, loss, or fraudulent dealings in your conduct. Unconscionable conduct, you know, is breaking the law as well. So we have got the tangible argument to go up against Freeman and the constitutional side with the charity movement and the alleged ways that they are validating birth certificates across the United Kingdom or the landmass England, and what capacities and statuses the brothers and sisters are after. And we can definitively argue what you're at there and how to attain that, which is why we've got the seminar in Birmingham at the end of the month. So anybody that's interested in the landmass England that can get to Birmingham on the 31st, we've got a seminar there. You guys are all welcome that can possibly attend to come down, and we're going to extrapolate further where we are in all this matrix and how to move forward.
Would you like to put like links or something to that in the chat room, David? Put it in so that they can see it. In a sense, though, you're sort of saying, if you go the globe way, or whichever that way, the birth the death certificate way, we don't really have any rights at all. But in a sense, there are rights. So why do they put the rights in there and don't tell us?
Capacity, again, you don't know. So what your slavery is inhumane. You are doing is this an illegal act. There is, you know, it's a breaking one of the 10 commandments. It's not just it's against natural law, it's against common law, it's against statute code, you know, public law, it's against all laws. In slavery, entrapment, deception, you know, fraud, misery, heartache, pestilence. But we're all suffering it. So what they've done is they've said, you know, how you identify. And it's like when Theresa May addresses the people of the United Kingdom, well, that's not the capacity I'm in. I'm as king the questions. I rely upon equity. I go around as the settlor. So as the settlor in equity, as king in the private, I don't recognize the men. I see men and I mean people and persons and employees, and I try and give them a good shake, and I say, and I find the man inside or the woman and pull them out and go, here, look what's inside. You take this mask off. There's two of you. You peel them apart. So I had an advert for Experian, the credit company, Equifax, one of them. There's two men called Dan, and it says, here's Dan, and here's Dan's digital side. Here's what we look at when Dan goes in for a mortgage. When Dan applies for a credit score, what we look at is digital Dan, and it shows you that digital Dan sat with real life man Dan on a sofa, which is like Dan and strawman Dan. You see, it's just the way that we've got to break this fracture, the current understanding and belief system that we've got. It's going to take a bit of doing, and it takes a leap of faith as well, but we can evidence it and we can stand upon it. And I am prepared to go to a court and take on the dominion of a judge to argue that what we're doing is vigilant, and it's honourable, and it's actually lawful, and it's just a different conceptual
and upholding the law, and actually upholding the law.
Legal and lawful are two different realms. You know, legal is not an act done by me. It's not legal's not real. Sometimes it's not always real legal, because the law can be an ass, you know, deception. You want to be lawful, yeah, and that's what we are at all times, lawful. And you can employ lawful excuse when you find out there may be treasonous acts involved within Parliament and criminal acts involved within the trustees, and the trustees are the police. So imagine this: I'm at work as a slave master in the warehouse, And I find out one of the young ladies that actually is employed by the corporation has had a relationship with a security guard at said employment place corporation. This security guard has apparently, allegedly, given her harm, injury and loss. And she's got evidence of it in video calls, video recordings, audio files and independent witnesses from the property at the time of the alleged illegal criminal actions. So she reported it to the local trustee, which is the police. And the police said that they listened to her, they rang her back and they said there was insufficient evidence for them to act. And I said, she's telling me this because she had a miscarriage due to his violent actions and she had time off work. And poor me, when I'm saying, right, you've had some time off, and I'm quite firm because I need them to know it's serious, you know, having time off unplanned and a lot of time. And, you know, you're in jeopardy. If you've had more, this is more than one occasion, we have to look on it and see if there's any mitigation. And I'm asking for mitigation. And she broke down. She started crying in front of me. And I'm like, whoa, I'm sorry. It's not that bad, you know, we're not going to get sacked. I've just got to ask the questions, and I'm employed to find out if there's a problem at home and if I can assist you. It's not about discipline. It's about getting to the root cause and assisting you in the best way to do this job, to earn this company the maximum amount of profit. So I'll be frank with you. That's why these systems are here. They're not there because they care about you. They're there to keep you working at maximum cylinders so you can earn that money for the shareholders. So she said, I gave her the time, composed herself and relayed the information. Security guard man has done X, Y, and Z allegedly, and this has happened. And, you know, the loss of a baby and everything is harmful enough. So I went ape and I says, have you told the police? And she said, yeah, but they're not interested. The police are trustees and they didn't want to deal with it. She's a beneficiary of that trust. She's also, you know, the settlor in all of this. She's the beneficiary of the CQV trust, and she's the authorised representative and agent in office for her legal person, her internationally recognised corporate legal person. So we use that, and I rang back up to the police and I asked for a name, and I says, I want to know who I'm speaking to. I'm going to report a crime. And I reported the crime again. Says I need a reference number and I'd like to give you a contact detail, and we might need a translator. And they said that this case had been looked at, this alleged incident, not case, and that there was insufficient evidence for the police to proceed with the line of inquiry. And I said, so independent witnesses, video evidence and audio evidence we have here, and I'm looking at it now, and you're telling me that's insufficient evidence. I need your name, and I need to know your office number, your badge number. I need to know your warrant card number, your full name, your badge number, and I'll be putting in a complaint because I'm going to need to compel you as a trustee to carry out this function as a service under the present trust that you're under. I don't know if you've been ever told that you're a trustee rather than an officer, but you are. And if you refuse this or you decline it with this kind request that you're obligated to do, then there'll be follow-ups. And then they sat up and listened, and they sent somebody out, and now they're prosecuting. I had to do all of that to get the police to help a lady that was a victim of alleged domestic abuse and possibly a miscarriage as a result, and they didn't even want to help.
Oh, David.
That's
David,
everyday life.
David, we love you. We love
Mental.
you.
It's not, well, thank you, but yeah, the love, you need to love yourselves enough to, you know, action this in this evil world, because they don't blink an eye about that. Someone's taken a call. Oh, we can't deal with that. It's too much like hard work. That's not a quick fix. There's not enough money in it. No, we're not taking that. Goodbye. And it's like, well, no, you need to know what your rights are. If you don't know your rights, then they will run circles around you forever. But thank you anyway. Thank you. Bless you. Yeah.
Need more people like you in this place.
They come into the domain. They're on your channel. They're here now in the chat room. They're in various other groups. There's a lot of good people. That's another thing we don't realise. Just given a chance. If you give people, man, a chance to do good, that's all man wants, to do good and to feel proud. Like we said about the man and the suicide and how they have pride and keep stuff in, and the way that we act, then we don't say we love each other enough. We don't think, you know, we might be getting called gay if we use the word love too much. And we just, you know, we're changing it. We're sorting it out. There are a lot of people, indigos. That's what we are. We're just indigos. My mum was a light worker. You've got, you know, the Palladians, you've got all these kind of other interactions of different consciousnesses and capacities. And, you know, the hollow earth theory, the flat earth theory, we've got the, you know, the Nibiru, we've got the ancients, and as I've mentioned, Sumerians and the giants. These guys ruled for 25 to 36,000 years. You know, they weren't here for a short time. Then there was a great flood, and after the great flood, then man started to become God. So I've given you the history right up until the point of where the flood was. I'm not telling you which flood. There's been quite a few, you know, ancient floods that have been suppressed. But one of these floods that happened in Iraq, round about there, well, it was global, but plain and planial. It was all over, but it flooded. It's recorded there in in the Assyrians and the what's it, Arcadia and that kind of era, Babylonia, Assyria, Syrian, Sumeria, yeah. And you look at it, and they lived for a long time, and there was a lot of suppressed energy that we're finding out about ourselves, and we've just a lot of bloodlines in the mix on this, you know, in this family of ours, and we just now we see magnets, or like I've got mentors, they're like magnets to me. I get attracted to them, and I'm drawn to them like magnets. So all we're doing is putting magnets about, and people, men, brothers, sisters are getting drawn to us. So it's not just me. It's I get strength from the family in itself, and from the feedback, and from others that go on and watch, you know, Alan Watts, or go and look at Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Yourself Rich, and come back and comment like and interact like we do. It's that's the greatest reward in itself.
Do you know something else that you're saying as well? Everything seems to be hidden in plain truth. In plain sight.
True. Yeah. It's not Pandora's box that you open, and you know it's quite what they've done. How they've done it is that it's fragmented across thousands of years. It's a massive plan as we see it. It's been the conceptualization of eons, and it's written in various gospels and tablets and books, and then it's all got shattered. And all we've done is taken time, and it's not just us. It's the last 20 years of the open source information that we've collected, and like the Chiron last stuff, and the speakers, and all of the videos, and international contributions that we've seen, and the contrast and the comparison, what Richard Ansar's done with the UK trust law, and Christian Walters' new trust law technology from America. You know, the errors, the fallen soldiers, many that have gone and tried to battle and done battle and lost, and you know that we've learned from their mistakes. So each battle is looking to try and end the war, and the war is a global, invisible. I don't know how you describe it, but it's an animal, an object with many tentacles and one head. You know, a bird with two wings often is depicted, but it's deeper than that, as we've discussed earlier.
Yeah, because obviously everybody sort of like a few months ago was talking about, like, obviously the American flag flying is a flag of war. So it means we've just been at war. What are we at war with? The people. I do realise this is some kind of subversion, communism thing we're in. It just is.
They've tried all of the isms, and the, you know, fascism, communism, capitalism. You know, they've tried. I think we're in a mixture of it all now. I don't know. All the religions are mixed up. All the continents are mixed up. I don't think, you know, there's a central bank everywhere. Russia hasn't got a central bank, FYI. That's maybe another bit of attention why it's there. Any nation that doesn't currently have a central bank there's only about 7, I think, left of all the continents and nations. But that's, you know, that's an issue in itself as well. It's a big old game that's been going on. I'm just looking at the comments on the chat room now, see if there's anything I want to post while we're still online so they can grab it.
Yeah, thank you. Jay, do you want to chime in? Jay.
Yeah, there's a lot of great things he's saying. Am I coming in clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you talked about like Julius Caesar, you know, we have Little Caesar's Pizza, and you know, Julius Caesar had a child, with one of those queens. I believe it was with Cleopatra, and they called it Little Caesar. And so these characters, they still use these little deities, and they put them in our words, they put them in our consciousness, they put them in your bloodstream. So now your arteries are now dealing with another vibration from an ancient, like what my man is saying, Babylonian soap opera. And it's yeah, just really important to break out of that so that we can help our brother and sister. Like for me, the most important thing with my research, to be honest with everyone, like this is what my intent is, chat room. My only intent is to create information that can just alleviate a certain way of seeing something or open it, not force it or, you know, make you feel bad. It is dark stuff. I mean, it can be depressing, you know, it really can be. But when you get versed in what you mean and what natural law is, and that what we're seeing here, the biggest threat to these demons is our health. That's it. How much mental health issues do we have? Where we're constantly relying on the system. We have a nervous system and we have an immune system. Excuse me, I am the system. You are the system. And they give you sisters and twisted sisters and these weird names. And they give you nunchucks, but don't tell you that nunchucks, one love to Kung Fu, nun is the goddess. It's the same word. The Chinese are showing you who taught you how to defend yourself is the mama. Ma'at taught Kung Fu. She's the one that taught the man. So that's why you have the goddesses in the Black Panther movie showing you that they were the warriors with the sticks. You know, for those who've seen it, you know, there's some symbolism in there that's obviously not great. But, you know, when you do your research, you can see these Illuminati movies, right? And then have a mind of your own where you can gauge how much of the rituals, you know what I'm saying, you want to partake in because you know what it is, right? So you can say, I know what that means. Or you can just watch the movie and just sort of believe that this world is circular and spinning around, and you know, you drink your soda and aspartame is in that kills your pineal gland. And where did Jacob see God? So I'm not saying that I know everything, you know, I'm not saying that I wrote the damn Bible. I'm showing the Bible because it's an old book that has a lot of little clues in there. And we have to be our own Sherlock Holmes, you know, Sherlock, Hemlock.
Eventually, my dear Watson.
And you know how you said Watson, right? The light bulb.
What?
See, Watson was, yeah, the light bulb of your head, bro.
It's incredible. This is I don't know what to say. This I was DJing in Zante. I've warmed up for the last DJs and performers I warmed up for were Professor Green in Zante at the Beach Republic Club in Zante in about 2013, 2012, definitely. So this wasn't planned for me. I went to go to court to get access to my chilled Wren or my property. And whilst I was in the legal construct at a high court with a barrister, I knew none of this. And afterwards, when I was denied access to my property by the state, by an agency operating as an agency relationship with probably a Bailey-Baylor trust type relationship going off that was unbeknown to me, I thought it was a contract. They told me I couldn't see my children or have the data for my property. And I said, well, I'll cancel this contract. And they proceeded to try to litigate me and take me to court as a father that didn't really comply with the establishment's demands to take money by me voluntarily paying it monthly. So they decided to put an attachment of earnings on my wages to take in around about £470 sterling, well, units a month from my legal person's sweat equity wages, so they could recoup the child support agency payments for the children. But I was willing to pay for my property, and I had the contract, and all that happened was they moved house. And when I went to go and see them, the mother had done a dirty trick and not told me because we was not on, good grounds. And then she used the children, my property, our property, mine and hers property. We created it, not the state, under the divinity of the creator. And we fell out. So I didn't get to see them, and the government had data under the 1998 Data Protection Act. They can give me that data as I am the settlor of that property, but they don't recognise the dad in the United Kingdom construct of parental rights. They only recognise the mum, and the dad doesn't get custody of the property in a breakdown of a family unit, the mother by default gets it, which is fine as long as the dad and his rights and the children's rights or the property's rights, speaking lawfully, is identified and accessed, given to the father of the said, you know, offspring property. So when that's denied, you've got the government and the state committing parental alienation, which is a heinous crime against man. It's a crime against man. It's fracturing society in a legal construct. It's fracturing the core fabric of our basic understanding of a family unit. When a unit breaks, it should be empowered and it should be enabled to try and make it as smooth for the child and as less mind fracturing as possible. But it's quite the opposite. It's a horrific, long drawn out, very expensive, you know, nasty affair, which leaves a lot of families and men broken and torn. So that's why I fight for all of this. It was accidental that we're now here where we are, and we're at trust and equity. We got into it with passion, and we got into it with our hearts, and we put the egos and the monetary value aside, and we just got stuck in, and this is what's happened. We did it for the offspring and the children, because ultimately we can't leave this with a clean conscience. We can't know this. To know it and not do anything as well, what does that make you? You're enabling it, aren't you?
Wow.
I kind of understood a lot about this. Mine was a slightly different avenue with the law kind of thing. It was to do with the ombudsman. And then what the ombudsman do is they make you wait so long, the financial one, they make you wait so long that by the time they look at your case, they can't help you. And then afterwards, I thought, that's a whole government body being paid to do nothing. And they're always, technically, the bank is always going to win because of the time difference. But the ombudsman were the ones causing the time difference. I lost total respect then for this place. And I actually asked them all to resign. And I actually even know what's happened to me. I'll just quickly explain it. It's just as an interest, you know, it's just, this is what they do, as you know. But originally you had to ring up the number on the back of your card here in about 2008 to get your new card to work. And they didn't tell anybody, but on that phone call, something happened and it attached a PPI product to everybody's card. So the ones that signed up for the PPI, until the High Court did what it did, it would have worked for so many people, just not unemployed and self-employed people. Yeah, it will now, but it didn't then. But it would have worked for them. They all get their money refunded, even if they used it. They get it refunded. But people like me, this was not a PPI thing. This was wrong charges put on my account. And there are thousands of people like me. Wrong charges put on your account is something completely different than getting the PPI problem. And they won't admit it. And to me, I looked things up with the Data Information Act, I think it is. Yeah. Because when companies show wrong totals of people's debt and credit history on computer systems that are mirrored all around the world, it breaks those laws. And then I looked into it. The chief executive, anytime there is a breach of anything in the banks or whatever, then the chief executive is told, or his office is told. And in 2012, I went through all these phone calls. You know what it's like. It's ping pong. It's like going in a maze. It's like you don't even know where to go anymore because everything is so fractured. No one's responsible for you because they're responsible for only that bit, and then nobody's responsible altogether. This woman just told me that I'm not saying it was 2012. Sorry, yeah, it happened in 2012. It was before that. She said the banks knew that this was their error. So how could they be allowed to put wrong charges put on people's accounts, which we weren't aware of? We didn't even know we had it. Yeah, because of the way they word it and everything. So those people that took out the policies signed a document and knew they had it. People like me didn't know we had it. And I went to the ombudsman saying there's the sick, the elderly, what happens if people have died, what happens if people are abroad, who may not even to today know that those charges mean that they're actually got PPI on their account. Because if you didn't sign for it, how would you know you've got it? Well, the answer was basically, it's happened too long ago for us to help you. And I even went to the independent assessor when they did my case, and I told her what they did to me. And she said then I had to have a senior ombudsman look at it, who only sided with the first person, even though the independent assessor actually went with me on a lot of the answers because of the way they treated me, etc., and the time and all that. But she couldn't change any law. The only thing the independent assessor can do is look at the ombudsman, actually themselves, not the cases they passed. So then, when I know what's happened to me and the fact that they've broken all these laws and the fact that they could use, what's it called? Oh my goodness, I can't remember the law. The such and such law of 1967. It's gone out of my brain right now. They could use these other laws. They decide to use different ones, which now, because of the PPI, the High Court, some of these laws meant you could get the money. Now it means you have to be actually on the streets before they actually give you any consequential losses. That one they changed at High Court because of the PPI. Up until that, consequential loss meant that people would be able to get money back, and after that, it was almost impossible. You had to be almost on the streets.
Yeah.
So it's just the whole thing manipulated. But it's like everywhere I went for help, and I even told the ombudsman what was happening. I told the ombudsman what the bank did. I did it in 2012. I told them. But can I just say this? I know this is a bit boring because it's a personal thing, but I wrote to the bank because I just didn't understand this payment they'd given me back and what it all meant, because I never had PP. All I originally wanted was them to break down what it was they'd given me back and why. And then it led into all this. And they sent me to the ombudsman because they said they destroyed some of my information. And even if they wanted to, they couldn't help me. And then 4.5 years later, they gave it to the ombudsman. And then what it was is in law, even though we don't really have many laws, I am supposed to get my information first, me, the person. The ombudsman got it, passed my case. And do you know what I mean? So I'm seeing stuff after they passed my case, which breaks the Data, whichever one it is, Information Act. So the ombudsman now actually involved in breaking the Data Information Act. They actually catch the bank doing that, and they sided with the banks really, because they said, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Everything is that it's too late for us to help you because it's 4 years too late now." And the bank, the reason I was really angry was they put all these charges on, and I took it to a loan. So it meant I never needed the loan that I took because I didn't owe as much. And also I paid for it twice. And in reality, I've still paid for it. And they won't come near me, people like me, because if they did, this is even bigger than the PPI thing. And I asked for everybody to resign, and all the and Antonio Horto Azara, the chief executive of Lloyds Bank, got millions of pounds bonus. He got all the people's money.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I even went to the police because I said this is fraud. All these banks doing this are trading in fraud, because these laws say when people's credit history is wrong and it's mirrored everywhere, it breaks these codes. So they're all sitting on it knowing they're trading in fraud. But I mean, I'm sure there's other things that they do. But once I saw that, I lost absolute faith in everything. And at the same time, my friend is having to move and trying to get a house. And there's just like nothing. You know, when you council houses, you wait for them to come up, you bid for them. There was actually nothing. And she had to wait so long to get a house. Yeah. And everywhere she went, someone attacked her, so she kind of had to, it was a known person, but anyway, she had to leave the town really, and she so wanted to get out of there, and it took her nearly a year, and she was like a bit more of a priority case. There is just nowhere for housing. There's just nowhere to help. Nothing works anymore. It's most incredible. But the ombudsman let the bank get away with it. I'm so disgusted.
Yeah, it's
But anyway,
it is. We point it out a lot. We've pointed out, not we, not me myself, but the human race, England, the United Kingdom, slaves, debtors, creditors, the likes. We've seen that there is no money in the first place. Taken loans, overdrafts, credit cards. You have got as a legal construct the Consumer Credit Act, non-commercial agreements. Section 123, paragraph 5, loads of little bits of public law that you can use, and international types of law. But we have also seen that where you said about overdrafts being applied or bank charges and them giving credit, unauthorized credit, well, they shouldn't be given and authorizing any credit and giving any kind of charges for unauthorizing credit, because they didn't have permission to apply the credit in the first place. So when they're applying credit and then applying charges due to credits and things, then they need consent and authority, and they're acting ultra vires, well, not ultra vires, but out of their jurisdiction by applying credits and charges and management of accounts without, like you said, consent.
I think quite often though, you only stumble across this, don't you, when you get into a situation like you explained about your children. I mean, here, right, a few years ago now, my daughter couldn't go to the school in my town. She had to go to the school in the next town. It's 3 miles away. I started to look into why she couldn't go to local school when she could walk to that one. Whereas the other one, she had to get up much earlier, and she also had to go on a bus. And if she missed the bus, she'd have to walk. Now we're talking of 3 miles, single parent, blah, blah, blah. And then it was a bit like I started looking into the history of where I lived. And the town council had made this document which said that this town where I live, it's a small town, but it had grown massively, and its infrastructure couldn't cope with the way it had grown with all the houses. And in reality, it needed another senior school. It needed a much bigger or better or another library. It needed more doctors. And this is like, say, 2006, 2007. And then what it was is, in 2008, after that document, which would have been paid for, so that's more money going out, I think the town council did that one. They built a housing estate on top of that with 800 houses in it, which is like another town attached to a town which has already said we're really struggling and we need more infrastructure or whatever it is. And then when you start looking in, because like you say, you just don't know these things unless you start looking into things. And anyway, it's always a rabbit hole. It goes on forever and it's just so difficult. And so anyway, so I started looking into things, and then I realized that the builder that built the houses did pay the council some money. And we're talking of quite a lot of money. And then the really strange thing was, about 3-4 years ago, they changed all these traffic lights in the next town, Newbury. And actually, the person who built the houses in Thatcham, who paid the council, was the one, they took his money and they put that into the traffic lights in another town, when the town council has said that basically Thatcham's almost on its knees. Do you see what I mean? And I remember the council, the Newbury council, telling me, we've done nothing wrong. It's just incredible what they do to us, the whole thing. And they want to build more houses here, and they always have to build them this side of the line. There's no room at the school here. And this side of the line, they'll go to the school that my daughter went to, because there's enough room there. So they're always going to opt to build houses this side of the line. Wow, it's just amazing. Anyway, David, you know what I mean, don't you?
Yeah, and they've sold that land off to private enterprise. That land is public land. It's not been contracted or signed off by us, or we haven't consented to sell it, but it's been sold by the local government arm. It's been they're a holding company. They have I don't know, holding companies that manage land and properties in the state. The government are very clever. The establishment is very clever how they appoint the management.
Housing and isn't about the people, is it? The housing's about money.
Carillion, look at Carillion and the fiasco, what they've ended up doing here to us with all these billions invested in a government partnership scheme. When the government start partnering up and trying to create, community wealth, they generally do the opposite, don't they? And they drink it dry. So, it's just this land and the sale, and then the properties being sprung up and pressurising the village and the community. And, you know, changing the schematic completely, doubling the size of the inhabitants and dwellers of the town, village, whatever, turning it on its head, and not planning the correct infrastructure. But what they did do is take the money for the sale of the property development and the management, and where have they put that money? Where has it gone? It doesn't go. It should have gone back straight into that local community. The local council should have then been asking on behalf of the, you know, constituency and the taxpayers. The legal occupiers should have been had their, but they haven't got a voice, and they don't know how to. When they do say we want doctors and schools and money, they don't do it in the correct capacity, and the system just goes, we'll think about that, we'll let you know. And that's why the system gets to do what it does, because we don't compel and instruct. We wish and we ask and we hope, and wishing and asking and hoping in ifs and buts, you know what I mean? It's not going to happen. We're seeing how the system has got greedy. It's self-perpetuating. It needs to constantly spend. It needs to be, you know, moving and turning. It never sleeps, and it doesn't really care about, you know, dreams and wishes. It just wants money and profits, acquisitions and mergers. And if you don't know how to compel it and, or, you know, stop it, then it will just take over. It's like a complete AI. It's like a new type of AI, a legal AI. If we don't put the brakes on this machine, it's going to encapsulate and swallow the whole of us, all of our rights, all of our, you know, what we want, freedoms and liberties, you know, entitlements, benefits, the lot. It's after it all.
Yes.
Speak.
Yes. Unfortunately. We've been going for 2 3/4 hours now. Do you think that's almost like, because obviously it's nearly midnight?
I'm up at 5, so I need to sleep, so I'm good to call it a day whenever.
Well, you're amazing, and thank you so much. You've made me think about things.
We're all amazing. You guys are amazing.
We'll just say goodbye off air. Lev, do you want to say anything before we go? I don't know if Patricia's still awake. We've lost Jay's dropped off.
Yeah, bless them. They'll watch the playback.
Lev, are you there?
Yeah,
Patricia.
I like it. I like it.
Oh, sorry, Lev. Let ladies go first. Go on, Patricia.
Sorry, Lev. Bit of a delay, isn't there? I was just going to say, I'm never asleep. Never.
Making notes. I picture you making the notes. You're like the minute taker.
More like making a cup of tea. Serving the biscuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I love learning about the straw man and all that sort of big rabbit hole. That's the first thing I looked at after the 9/11. My son said, "Look up straw man, Mum." So I did, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But yeah, it's how we put it into practice is a hard bit, because I don't know if you can see on my cushion it said lose the fear, clear the fear, non-compliance, and that's what we have to do. We have to get that mentality in our head first, so we can do it, but we need to know the proper ways to do it.
Indeed, yes, and rioting and having protests isn't necessarily the way. It feeds the system. It causes, you know, it causes further harm, injury, and duress. You know, there's ways and means we can actually interface and say this is enough. We demand it. I'm looking at the chat room feed now, saying about how you can, you know, demand and require rather than, you know, beg and submit. We don't submit and we don't beg. You know, it's about, you know, how you would demand that, or how you would go about expressing what you require and to acquire and demand, you know, and how you notice. Everything's done via notice. You know, when the council want to do a change in the United Kingdom, they put up on a lamppost a public notice. So these public notices are in effect, these are how the law is governed as well. So you get a notice. Just to wrap it up, we didn't mention the notice of intent, statement of intent. So interest, sorry, notice of interest, statement of interest. This is how it works under the doctrine of notices. So these are very important ways of which we are now only just having brought to us through the likes of the guys that I've mentioned, Richard Ansar, Christian Walters, Winston Shrout, Carl Lentz, and other such, speakers that we are surmising now and cognizing this is the way forward. Steve McRae, what he's done on his YouTube channel as well and his website. So we are taking bits from everywhere and putting it together in another way and seeing there is a private way, a public way, and a way to submit and a way to instruct. And we like the instruction way, I think, better than the submission way.
Thank you for that, David.
You're welcome.
Lev, did you want to add anything in then? Sorry, because you got cut off.
Me? It always cuts off when you say your name. Yeah, I loved everything you said about it all.
I know.
Standing up for people's rights and stuff like that, innit, really? We used to have a lot more dignity in past with it, didn't we? We used to stand up for it more, and I get that impression anyway. But is it another angle I was thinking about, like when all agencies come in, for like employment and stuff like, you seem to lose loads of rights as soon as that came in. Like your holidays and all those type of things, and sick days or whatever and stuff. And then they brought in the 0-hour contracts as well, didn't they? So it's like stripping people's rights even more. Now we accept that now. So what's next? I don't know. I wanted to mention that anyway. It might fit into what you're doing at some point.
Yeah, because those what you're saying are rights actually aren't rights, brother. They are what we call services, privileges, benefits. They're not. This is liberties. The Statue of Liberty. It's a joke. It's not a liberty. You should be displaying man's rights, and you're not. These are persons and citizens. Public statutory common law and statutory public entitlements and privileges. They're not rights. Man has rights, and when you wear the persona as the fiction and claim the name, he who claims the Father's name in vain, you might want reference and so forth, doesn't get delivered because you've claimed in the name, such as the all caps answering that telephone call. Mr. Smith there. Yeah, Mr. Smith speaking. About your debt. Yeah, what about the debt? We're coming to collect. All right, I'll set up a plan. You've contracted all the way through. Great. Or you could handle it a different way and say, this is how it is. So when you go on about rights, only man has rights, and man doesn't have them taken away. Man does not know them, and man thinks he's person. When man is not person, man is man, and man should never be person unless he knows with a full conscience the full pitfalls, liabilities, and what will happen if he takes that title. Like in a film, they claim the title of the actor. The whole world is a stage. Well, it's a stage no more. The real show is just about to begin. You know what I mean? There's no more warm-ups. There's no more practices. This is it now. We're going to do it. We're going to start, press record.
And you think probably lots of those policemen that sign up to all that don't even know what they're signing up to, do they either? Just like the soldiers don't.
Correct. Yeah. Agreed.
Anyway, on that note,
let's do it.
Do you want to shout out what you're doing, what your project again, David, before we go?
To wrap up, Birmingham, we've got a private social gathering there to discuss law and where we're at and our successes and future aspirations, the private trust itself, and get the beneficiaries down of the current Facebook trust that we've got going, and to talk about our further direction. So that's on the 31st of March, and that all the relevant information is on the website, the new one. I've posted that in the chat room, so it's all there. Everything has been shared. So thank you all for your kind interaction and time. And I'm going to get to bed and servitude calls for 6 hours. 6 hours time. What?
Oh no! All this means you don't get much sleep. But thank you so much for spending that time with us. And thank you to everybody that's been on the panel, and to Patricia and Lev and to David. and to the chat room. Shout out to the chat room.
Yes,
we're
they're
back.
brilliant. I've been watching the comments.
We're
I've had a
back
chat
on-
as well. Tried to keep thread with you guys, but I've seen the comments and had to go back. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. No, thank you, because it's all about interaction, isn't it? Without interaction, you don't have anything, do you?
Well, that's it. You can't have an electrical circuit without resistance, an element of resistance. So, you know, we are the resistance in that circuit. It's only natural. There needs to be resistance. So without it, the circuit couldn't function. We kind of, we are required by, you know, so yeah, thank you. You've got a good little community there. I do need that website promoting to myself through a message or something. The People's one that Thrive and Survive's done.
Oh, I love you more, because I was just going to say that. Yeah, people
Yeah,
for people, not life.
Yeah, post it me. So then what we can do, we'll get it put into the page of affiliation and something like that, so we can link on some hyperlinks on our domain and put the, you know, other places where you can go for independent help and affiliation, verified families, communities.
Yeah, I've told Mr. Thrive that you would do this, and I'll explain it to him tomorrow. And yeah, people for people.life. We're with this. I can't say it. We're with Mr. Thrive tomorrow. Mr. Thrive and Survive. Anyway,
Brilliant. Thank you.
much love and much respect, David, and everybody in the chat room. And good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. Anyway, big flat earth hugs.
Yes.
Love you all.
Yeah, and on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We are dancers.
What were we
Yeah,
trying to
good
do?
night, everyone. Yeah, you were too late, Patricia.
I'm always late.
David, the point about being dancers is it's like saying we are free and we should dance. Anyway, bye, everybody.
Ciao, Bella. Peace and love.
Bye, everyone.